Commandments, 10 Commandments, with lawyers.
All right, here we go. Wait for somebody to show. Okay, you're here. Shows your thumbs up, not you. That's funny. All right, here we go. There, now it shows you. This is pretty dang crazy, and everybody should know this right here. This is nuts.
So today I want to go through
Yeah,
a
cut
little
take
more
two.
about how we languish in our language and what can never get undone from the mess we're in, because the words are basically Phoenician, Latin, and Greek amalgamations with some British thrown in there. But it's all, a lot of our language is meant to deceive or have secret hidden meanings. So let's get into it. Now, when you go into court, we're based on water. Our legal system is under Roman Latin law, and we're considered to be at sea. We're fictitious characters, we're straw men, but it's all based on water. And this goes way back to the 13 and 1400s when Pope Boniface VIII said he's going to be the vicar for Christ and created the first SQV Unum Sanctum Trusts and put us on ships. And that's why we always have in our Admiralty Court, we're on our citizenship, we're on our leadership, we're on our relationship, we're on our ownership, friendship, hardship, partnership, membership, internship, warship, sportsmanship, sponsorship, relationship, craftsmanship, companionship. Why are we always on a ship? When we go into court, we go in through the docket, and there we find the bailiff who's going to bail us out. So everything's based on water, including our banking system. This is and we have deposit slips, and we have a docket. We have cash flow. We have frozen assets and liquid assets. So everything is based on water when we're in the court system, and we're just, like I said, straw man and fictitious characters.
This
This
is just the
George
beginning.
Maxwell, or I forget his other name. Judges have a Masonic hammer or gavel which they hit to declare the word of law. The idea of law comes from the biblical 10 stone commandments, and so it is said that you, quote, break the law. You're breaking the commandment. Judges always sit on 3-tier high platform representing the first 3 blue degrees of Freemasonry. The same tri-tier platform is found at Congress and the altar in most Catholic and Protestant churches, 3 tiers high. That's also why you give someone the 3rd degree related to the 3rd degree of Masonry.
What's
where
up?
The initiate is asked a series of probing questions he must answer correctly in order to become a Master Mason, which is the 3rd degree. There's usually a gate around the church altars, just as there are gates.
It gets way better. Wait, just listen.
Called the docket. The congregation at church all stand up to recognize the priest, just as all rise when the judge walks in. Judge takes a recess because he is in court playing a game of 10 commandments, 10 commandments, with lawyers who play the dialectic protagonist-antagonist game, bouncing the advantage into each other's courts. In the courtroom, witnesses must place their hand on the Old New Testament before giving their testimony, just as priest's sermon is often called testimony, also known as mon from moon in testimony, and sermon. Also, to testify used to be you had to grab your testicles. In the old, that's why women could not testify, because they could not grab their testicles to
How crazy is
to
that?
assert themselves in court. Also, the black robes or Saturnic Satan robe. Gavel is the phallic gavel of a penis that he's ruling with. As a witness swears in, one hand is placed on the Bible while the other is held up. In church, where parishioners feel the Holy Spirit offering during psalm, they will hold one or both hands up to praise the Lord. Quote. Then when you get further into Saturn, you begin to understand his color is black, and he was god of one of the many different Semitic tribes or groups, and one of his symbols was a square. Then you get into the square black mortarboard that the university or high school students wear when they graduate. When you graduate from high school, you come out of the processionally with a black robe, which is black for Saffron, the god of Hebrews, requiring that you wear the square mortarboard on the top of your head. As I said, this is Saturnian in principle. The square mortarboards are, of course, used by the Freemasons for their plaster, so that is why you wear a square mortarboard when you graduate, ultimately becoming an alumni. It all has to do with Freemasonry. It all has to do with control of the education in this country. Freemasonry is owned by the Jesuits. He doesn't go into
Dude,
their,
this gets so much
Jordan
crazier.
Maxwell
Wait,
doesn't
it's
go
not.
Jesuit, or recently has. Square mortarboard on the head is usually black, the color of Saturn, one of the ancient Hebrew gods. This is the same black used on the robe
Thanks for the
judge
thumbs
wears
up.
when he is going to throw you in jail, because black represents Saturn. Saturn is the old Semitic god. This is why churches and courtrooms look the same today, because when you go into churches, you sit out here with the poor folks in the chairs,
What's
out
up?
here in the pews, but you cannot go in onto the lifted higher elevation. You can't go inside the gate. You can't go inside the little doors. Only the priest can go inside there and officiate you. You stay on the outside with the poor folks.
I'll get
The
it
altar is
to you.
always raised at least 3 times, because in Egypt, that was the way it was always done. The altar was always raised so the people could see the representative of God dressed in black. The priest comes out on the altar.
A plain truth. Dude's fucking awesome, man. I'm telling you, dude. This dude does his research and has on good people. A plain truth. One word.
Dressed in black, and he's officiating for you. He is the mediator between you and God. That is the same thing that happens in the courtroom. You walk in and you're a part of the poor folks sitting out there on your ship, and here's the fence or gate that separates you. The attorneys, who are known as bar attorneys for British Accredited Registry, registered under the City of London, all U.S. bar attorneys, you must be a member of the bar to practice in the corporation of the courts, who are for-profit corporations in our legal system, and the attorneys are pledged to the British Accredited Registry, or bar, where their corporate papers are based in Puerto Rico. The attorneys go inside the gate, and you are the mouthpiece to talk to God and see if you can get off. And the lawyers will be the mediator between God and the judge who judges you and man. That is where all this comes from in our society of today. Jordan Maxwell, Matrix of Power. All right, we can go into court. We have a hearing and present oral arguments to plead our case. The spoken word over the written word. That's why it's Phoenician, or definition.
Not a problem.
Definition. Get it? This is why we languish, Old French languere, be listless, pine, grieve, fall ill. From vulgar Latin languere, from Latin linguere, to be faint or weak, with our definition of language. Alpha, beta are the first 2 letters that make up our language. Once you start to understand the meaning of words, you will start to see this reality. There are 4 things to consider. 1, definitions need to be understood. 2, etymology of words needs to be studied. It's the study of the origin of words. Phonics is utilized in everything. This is where the Phoenicians are attached to phonics. Example, there's 3 definitions that mean completely different things. There's a letter C, there's the ocean C, and then you can see with your eyes. 4, word splitting, the practice of splicing words into various ways to find hidden elements contained within them. An example of the word splitting is language. Lang, gu, age. Lan means monster that protects the noble ones. Gu, the god of war, and age, the age of the zodiac. So
What
the
up,
final
girl?
meaning of the word language is a monster of war that protects the noble ones, or golden gods, throughout the ages. Language, as we languish. A little sidebar fun. Why do we have noses that run and feet that smell? Why do we drive on a parkway? You park on a
Wait,
driveway.
did you just hear what he said? Why do we have noses that run and feet that smell? Dude, this shit is crazy. And none of this is by accident.
Why at a ball field, if it hits the foul pole, it's considered a fair ball and a home run? And why do we call it a freezer burn? Did you notice the term words is an anagram for the term sword? Switch the letter S in the term words to the front and you get
Going
the term
good.
sword. The letter S goes one way and then the other. So it also crosses over the other side equally and can go both ways, like the S in snake, serpent, slither, sin. The letter M is shaped like a mountain. V for a valley. T as in top.
Of course.
B for breasts. And D for dome.
Everybody likes your videos.
And
You do
C
good.
for crescent. Do you think this is by mistake? Do you think this just happens? No, this is all by design, folks. Words are like swords because they can be used to harm you. In a way, words are more powerful than swords for the reason that they can harm or heal you at the deepest levels of your being. In Greek, the term word means logos. The word logos is defined as, quote, the source that controls the universe, the written word or inspiration of God, or a logical and rational argument. In ancient Greek philosophy, the word logos is defined as, quote, the controlling principle in the universe. Belief includes the word lie in it,
sorry.
in the middle. To be lying with an F. Alien, a lion. They're lying to you folks about the aliens. And then when you tell your vision, you tell your lie to your vision. Turn off your television and tell your vision, folks. And remember, when you say the word belief, you will be lying. You'd be lying with belief. Try not using the word belief. It's not easy to do. Question, what is the most important word of all time? The answer is no. Most people will spell it N-O, but the answer is K-N-O-W. Completely different meanings, but exactly sounding the same. It's meant to confuse by obfuscation. Matthew 11:15, he that hath ears to hear, let him hear. Earth is art of the heart. Earth, move the H to the front and we get heart. Hear, hear. Nothing is true, everything is a lie, folks. They play games with us for a long time. All right, another word that has a strong connection to the term word is the term light. Light is sometimes referred to as a photon. In physics, a photon is usually indicated by the symbol Y, which is the lowercase of the Greek symbol gamma. Some etymologists believe that the Greek word gamma is where the word grammar originated from. In English, grammar means, quote, the study of classes of words, their inflections and their functions and relations in sentence, end quote. Spells are cast in schools and spelling.
He means he means like they put somebody in there that actually will talk and say their talking points.
Bell rings at each class to disassociate from the last lesson. This comes from Pavlov's dog theory, where they rang the bell and the dog would salivate. So they instituted the bell system into public schools and most schools so that the children, when the bell would ring, would forget what they just learned. You must remember the people in power do not want you to take their power. So they'll give you a little way up, and then they'll set up progressive taxes, but they'll never get to the top. You'll never take their power away because they're controlling everything. The ringing bell was taken directly from Ivan Pavlov's behavioral science theory. Origins of our deceptive and deceiving language. Language is used to interact with one another. It's paramount importance in understanding law. We speak Phoenician each day without even knowing it. It's the language of sound. Before they had the written word, it was an oral history, oral language. Pick up the phone, phonics. Sounds, science of sound, from the Greek phone, sound, from pi root ba, to speak, to tell, to say. What is definition? It's a statement of the meaning of the term or the word. Or is it something else? Is it Phoenician?
I can only stand about 10 minutes of it.
And the Canaanites have defined the way we speak still to this day, thousands of years later. So you go to the elections and you make your selections, but they're really gross misdirections. When people vote, where do they do so? In a voting terminal or polling station. People are voting, not voting, because they are going to the polls, which the electric battery polls of positive and negative, to place their votes on the candidate that they want to see out in charge. The politician that receives the most votes is that one that
God,
is going
can you just like how everything is like all. This is so we don't know what we're saying. This truly is, but yeah, this is a good group. I love you all. But you just understand, like you start seeing all the plays on words and everything, especially the legal terms and this and that. It's like we're speaking a different language and we don't even understand what the hell we're saying. It's nuts. But it's right in front of our faces.
It's called power. It's not called power politics for nothing. It's also why we got credit charge cards. We're using electric. The Electoral College of Electors are the ones that actually determine who will be president, not any popular poll, media, or statistic. Registering to vote is an admission that the declarant is subject to the exclusive legislative power of the corporate Congress and is a 14th Amendment citizen, a second-class citizen when you register. Regis means crown, stir means to enroll, so you're enrolling in the crown, Regis, crown. By voting, you are contracting as a straw man, a fictitious character in the eyes of the law, a human resource, not a human just being. That's why they call us the Department of Human Resources, just like water resources. All right, a sidebar. Did you know the Jesuits invented the Fahrenheit thermometer? That's why when it unfreezes, it's at 33 degrees. Get it? All right, now we went through the banking stuff already with the liquid, frozen, liquid assets. Common law is also known as maritime law. Mar means sea law. This was in the 14th, 15th century. Like I said, the Testamentary Cesquivi Trust placed all lost souls at sea. So when we go into court, we sail in our citizenship to argue about loss and damages, our contractual relationships, partnerships, and ownerships. It's all about monetary loss and injury compensation. Who did what to whom? When we enter the court to play
Real
ball,
enough to
we'll see
torture
who
us,
win in the
though.
docket. This is where the ship's birth. The rules come down from the 3 Blue Masons degrees with phallic gavel to determine who is liable. Okay, resident. Res means property or thing. To identify is ident. Identify the property or thing. You put a P in the front and capitalize it and means principal. So the president of the corporation of the United States of America, capital letters, Washington, D.C., is the corporate CEO, the president. He's ruling over the property or the thing. That'd be us, folks. Also, when you're born, you slide down your mother's birth canal and you land on your birth certificate where the hospital's paid to register, and so that banksters can account for you into securitized debt from the bankruptcy the United States never got out of since 1933. This is why the more debt they run up, the more we owe, and we never got out of bankruptcy since 1933, and our birth certificates are securitized, tradable commodities. All right, a government. Govern means to rule or control. Ment is for mensa or mind, to control the mind. They tell us what they're doing. Straw man is a front. A third party is put up in name only to take part in the transaction. Term is also used in commercial and property context when a transfer is made to a party. The straw man for the purpose of retransferring the transfer in order to accomplish some purpose not otherwise permitted. We're not humans, folks. We're a legal fictitious entity. Since your birth, your artificial person has been considered a slave or indentured servant to the various federal, provincial, and municipal governments via your state-issued, state-created birth certificate in the name of you in all caps. Your birth certificate was issued so that the issuer could claim exclusive title to the legal person created. This was further compounded when you voluntarily obtained a driver's license and social security number, also all in caps. The state even owns your personal and private life through your state-issued marriage license, issued in all caps. You have had no rights since birth, marriage, nor will you have them even in death unless you recapture your straw man. The name on tombstones and cemeteries are also in all caps. The state holds the title to your legal person. It's created for your birth certificate. That's why they give you a certificate, not the actual title. The holder in due course of the instrument, that is yourself,
Pretty much
has to reclaim and redeem it. The straw person is a person according to the legal
Oh,
legal
here's a
diction.
good one. Okay. You want to know who owns the most land? It's the Queen of England, of course. And guess how much she owns? 6.6 billion acres. How about that shit? The Red Dragon's got a lot of land.
Person, a human being, an entity that, such
Sorry,
as a
that just came out
corporation
of
that is
nowhere.
recognized by law as having the rights and duties of a human being. So this is how they give you the rights, but they don't give you the acknowledgement as being a human being. So what is a human being? It's a person of the male sex. According to Black's Law Dictionary, which they use in the Roman Catholic law system we're still under today after since 1400s. A human being is a male sex, a male of the human species above the age of puberty. In the most extended sense of the term includes not only adult male sex of the human species, but women and children. In feudal times, it was vassal, a tenant, or feudatory.
What up? Thanks for the thumbs up.
All right, April 1933, this is when Roosevelt, the Knights of Malta, and Freemason made executive order. All persons are required to deliver on or May 1st all gold coin bullion now owned by them in the Federal Reserve. So they took our gold away. Now we're $21 trillion in debt, folks.
Yeah, sorry, last night sucked, guys.
To us. Look at the new $100 bill. Half of it is completely in gold on the right side with a gold inkwell, a gold feather, and there's gold writing in the background. And if you look very closely, it's the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence talking about abolishing the government, the new $100 bill issued in 2013. All right, in June 1933, we operate as a commerce. Commerce is based on agreement or contract. It's contractual law. That's why you sign your name, now a thumbprint or a swipe. You are agreeing to the fictitious character as a straw man. When the real flesh and blood step into their process, we become the surety for the fictional straw man. It's a trust. We then become liable for the debts, liabilities, and obligations of the straw man, and we relinquish our protected characters. We stand up for the fictional straw man. This is why when you go into court and the judge says, "Are you so-and-so? Do you understand?" and you say yes, you're agreeing to being that fictitious character. All right, corporation. The word corpse is the base root of corporation. All right? So ration the corp is to ration the corpse, the dead. You're rationing the dead. All right? And in Law's Dictionary again, only his successors in some particular station who are unincorporated by law in order to give them some legal capacities and advantages, particularly that of a perpetuity, which in their natural state as persons they could not have. In a corporation's soul, one person holds both operational positions of the organization. A corporation's soul may be established under legislative authority. It is considered by statute a citizen of the government. You are owned.
Hey, has everybody subscribed to Annie? She's like one subscriber away from hitting 500. So if none of you guys have checked her out, check her out.
The people are in the state national government at that time. The public government is an artificial entity. Who is a government? Point to me as a person being a government. The government is owned and controlled by the same people. It's a sole organization, not an aggregate organization. The straw man being artificial lives in the artificial place called the public, okay? This is necessary and proper because the creator and entity has the right and control of it. So we create it by signing our name, and they take control of it by putting us in their system. Since the government has created the straw man, it is only right that the straw man live under the rules of its creator. So far, the readers might be saying to themselves, what? Precisely what? A watt is a unit of power that is equal to 1 joule per second. And this correlates with the situation when people say someone isn't very bright because they need to ask the same question over again. What? What? Wait. That person is said to be dim because they are not enlightened. Dim-wit. You could, of course, refuse everything that is being shown, but that just creates a negative ionic polarity charge within your own biology. Hence, to refuse, because a fuse is an electrical device that interrupts the flow of current if it becomes overloaded. I trust this will not confuse the readers. The use of the word pin is the reason.
Sorry, guys, I call her Annie.
A pin number when using a bank card. Well, the Spanish word born translates to terminal.
I think I've been around since she had like 60 or 70 subscribers. She's been doing really well growing her channel.
To current of electricity. When people travel to and from airports or bus stations, at the terminal. And as I said, when you use the credit card, you are charged as in charge card. Logos translates to ratio, symbol, reason, idea, and logic. The ancient Greek believed that the power of the logos could express the words and be used to create mystical things through sound. Have you ever wondered why the symbols of corporations are called logos? It has to do with magic and sacred geometry. The process of using logos, source, energy, and force to create things such as sacred geometry can be seen in somatics. That is where sound is used to create geometric, sacred geometric forms. All right, cosmology and language. You know how the day of the week got their name. Sunday, it represents the mineral gold. It represents the sun's day. Monday is the moon day for Luna or Lunatics Day. Tuesday is Iron, Marti, or Mars, or Tyre's god of war after the Norway god. Wednesday is under Quicksilver, the day of Mercury. It's Woden's day, another Norwegian god. Thursday is the tin of Jupiter. That's Thor's day, okay? Friday is Copper or Venera, Venus, God. Freya is Aphrodite's day, Friday, Freya's day. Saturday is Saturn's day, the god of agriculture and lead, because it's so heavy and dense. There's 7 days of the week. There's 7 sacred planets. There's 7 sacred metals of ancient alchemy, 7 continents, 7 seas, 7 energy chakras in the human body, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 tones in our voice, 7-year itch, 7 hills in Rome, 7 hills in Washington, D.C., and 7 wonders of the ancient world in the 7th heaven.
Hold on. Isn't there 7 continents too, supposedly? I was just wondering why that's not on there. Because I guess they really know there's more.
And look at how one is born into the world, or world. Why are we world? First off, from a pedantic perspective, this should be obvious, since the worlds is world on its axis. The writer of the Matrix movies also knew why, because the main character Neo is actually derived from the Latin word
Nice.
neo that means
Well, that's a little
spin
different, though.
or
But
wave.
that's a superstition.
The separation of our body from the sun works in a 7-step process.
We
Why
all
there are
thought
7
different
major
things.
planets and give us 7 days of the week.
That's
There's
great.
7 notes
Good.
in the mode of music. We also see 7 in the rainbow. The color, sounds, and words that are world are all
Sorry, here, let me.
From a pedantic perspective, this should be obvious since the world is world on its axis. The writer of the Matrix movies also knew why, because the main character Neo is actually derived from the Latin word neo that means spin or wave. The separation of our body from the sun works in a 7-step process. This is why there are 7 major planets and give us 7 days of the week. There's 7 notes in the mode of music, and we also see 7 in the rainbow. The color, sounds, and words that are world are all rated because the prefix sep comes from septum, meaning 7, which gives us the word September, which was originally the 7th month of the Roman calendar. There are 7 chakras in the human body. The ancients called spinning the wheels of light. This is appropriate because their colored wheels are world, and we live in a world of colors because we are humans. Now you know why it's called humans. Hue is simply a word for color, and the quality of color determines the dominant wavelength of each color. There's an astounding amount of indication and evidence to show that we are multidimensional beings that are caught in a cycle of separation, which is a certain mathematical ratio of vibration waves holding us prisoner in an endless movie-like loop. The ratio is a ration
7,
of the
nice.
God Ra,
Good one.
ratio within
Good one,
the base
good
10
one.
reality. 10 fingers
Nice.
and 10 toes, as the Swedish Teo states, with the meaning of 10. The fake gods that hold us all prisoner also need a ration us because we are their food.
Give a thumbs up, guys. It helps with the algorithm, please.
The separation that is given to the gods while we exist inside of this are cinematic matrix reality. Here's an important one. Soldiers are sold to die. Soldiers sold to die. And that is why they have dog tags issued to them, as Henry Kissinger has famous said. They're the dogs of war. We are told never to swear. Notice the word "wear" with the S in front. It can go both ways. Yet when we go into court, we must raise our hands and swear to tell the truth, the whole, with the hole in it, truth, and nothing but the truth. Yet few judges can even tell you the difference between the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I know because I've asked judges and they can't tell you. All right, when we submit, we place ourselves under the control of another. So when you submit an application, you are yielding your power. You let down, you put under, you reduce. When you apply for an application, you put one's faculties to some task or career. Is there a war on drugs? Then why are there drugstores on every corner? Is there a war on drinking and driving and DUI, driving under the influence? Why do they sell liquor at gas stations? To get you gassed? So this is why bail-ins are becoming so common now around Europe. A bail-in is when the banks come and take your money out of your account and say, sorry, it's not there anymore. They're called a rehypothecation. This is stealing by the banks and brokers for their own purposes, are called a bail-in. This is happening more and more, and with the United States, $21 trillion in current debt, I guarantee you money in your bank account is going to be taken at one time or another, folks, because it's a promissory note and it's not your money. It's electronics on a screen, but you go and try and get your money out of there more than a few grand, good luck with that. And if you do get more than a few grand and have to fill out all the forms, the IRS is going to contact you. Department of Homeland Security is going to attack you as well. And if you believe that the FDIC has enough insurance to cover all your money in the bank and everybody's, think again, folks. We're $21 trillion in debt. How can they have money but print more money of fake non-value behind it? This is why they're coming for the gold. All right, a police state is a revenue agent making money, revenue agent that enforces the corporate government contracts and protects the assets of the corporate government, including human resources. It compels performance, no injured party necessary. One who has policing powers is found in a police state. They're enforcers of policies. That's why they become policemen. And to register literally is to the queen, as I said.
How's it going?
The regis meaning king. This is why you get a certificate and not title on your cars as well. The original car manufacturer owns the title,
Yep.
but you get the certificate. When you enroll, you register your child, you put it into inventory. Did you know that? People are known as chattel in legalese. We call our animals cattle. They call us chattel. Again, this is why we're called human resources. And just substitute the word water for humans, and we're water resources. And on international, now another important thing is that our court systems, every time you challenge up. So you go from the local
Thanks
to
for
the
thumbs
state to
up.
the federal, and now you go into international laws. And it's even more corrupt the higher you go. So you never get sasatisfaction. It's by design.
What up? We got lots of
Nature
people
is
coming.
furthermore
Thanks.
the Latin word for womb,
Sweet.
which is
Oh,
where
what?
our body ship is birthed and birthed. All ships find their birth when they reach the port or dock. When Neo woke up in the Matrix, he was inside a battery womb or iPod, which is why Apple Computer sells everyone iPods and iPads to reflect this. The definition of pad that concurs with this is that of temporary living quarters. We're all living on our iPads or iPods because we bit the apple of sin. Now you see here on the left that the original Apple computer sold for $666.66.
Yep.
Not a coincidence, folks, or a co-incident.
Nobody likes
The
to
word
think about
apple
that.
is also phonetically spoken as a pull because our body ships are receiving a toe on the consciousness dreamline of reality, which is why we have a skull. A skull, yes, because a skull is an oar that is used for sculling, and a sculling is the propelling of a boat by an oar of the stern. John Scully ran Apple Computer for 10 years. Another coincidence. Everything in this reality is designed to make us fearful, and this starts right at birth. It has been said over and over again to humanity that man is born in sin. Man bit the apple to then continuously be reborn in his or her Apple iPods, which becomes unrepayable debt. That is why Webster's dictionary defines English word debt is sin, to pay the debt of sin, which is the price of our birth or birth in the moon. Remember that 7 days of the week do not include an earth day, since man is truly born in sin. All right, another important one. How do you say hi to somebody? You say hello.
This is bad.
Every time we say hi to somebody, we're saying them to go to hell. This
Yep.
is how much control they got over
Think
our
about that.
language.
It's crazy.
Every ship, including the human body, is eventually brought into port and then is docked. This is why there's a doctor that delivers the body ship, because it is a new liver or liver being produced. Another living being that is being delivered by the doctor as docked ore. Hence, doctor is phonetically docked ore, and you as a human being are the ore or the ore that is going to be mined for gold in your mind, because mind is mind, giving us the actual basis of the Sumerian depiction of the Anunnaki coming here for gold, because we are the human resources that mine for gold. It's all a play on words, folks, but it has secret meanings behind it. This also displays the fact that humans are seen as chattel property or false gods. When they say it's mine, we are the endless resource being mined, and companies do not have human resource departments because the title sounds fancy. You're also ore, which has an ore because you're the body ship that needs to paddle through this existence, which is the sea of electricity. Doctors use paddles to resuscitate someone who is in the cardiac arrest for this reason. Why do they use to resuscitate the patient? They use electrical currents, just like the sea that has currents. What else do doctors do? They perform surgery because of an electrical surge to the body patient. The docked ore is also the connection to the body ship and sea terminology. Also, our money is currency, since the doctor has delivered the docked ore, an ore that is sitting in its berth and no longer rolling. All right, a double cross. We see them in the logos all the time. Look at on Exxon. Look at there. It's a double cross. Nabisco, a double cross. They're double crossing us, folks. An act of betraying an ally, friend, or associate. The cross of Lorraine has long a history of use in the secret societies. The Illuminati bloodlines, including the double crosses, use the crest of the Lithuania, Hungary, and Slovakia. The Knights of Malta use the red cross, as does the largest oil company in the world, Exxon, Nabisco, etc., etc. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a whole list of these languages that we language in, and how our language betrays us, and how they use it against us. And the court system is rigged to put us on our ships and fictitious characters as straw man, and we have to get off the ship. We have to get away from the legal system. We have to create our new languages, or we're going to languish in their dominance as we have been for thousands and thousands of years, and we have to stop the Babylonian days that have been going on forever. And lastly, I want to bring up the word Israel. The word Israel is Isis, Ra, and Elohim, the gods of ancients. Isis, Ra, the sun god, Isis, the moon god, and Elohim, the god of gods. Israel. It all goes back
Yeah,
to the
that's fine, bro.
Babylonian
Call me
days.
tomorrow.
So let's stop babbling on and let's move on. Thanks for listening from A Plain Truth.
All right, so that one's pretty. Oh God, that's a face to freaking scare the shit out of you, Cooper. Oh God, nobody wanted to see that. I do have 1 second, guys. Let me find this other one. But I mean, how insane is that when you start looking at everything and how everything is just nothing.
Yeah, no, of course. I think it's just, superstition, and it's, the basis of someone.
Here, 1 second, guys.
This physical body that we've incarnated into is our vehicle for the soul and spirit to express through. This physical vehicle has very genuine.
1 second.
It needs food.
Come on.
And shelter, just to put it.
Okay, so this one is pretty damn interesting. Goes a little bit along the same lines of what we're just on.
Welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info. And on this day, July 4th, 1776, where the United States of America has got all their red, white, and blue flags flying as they think it's patriotic, as we, the people, and the United States citizens are celebrating their independence, where nothing could be further from the truth. So let's debunk
Was it
all
the
this
714 number? I think I wrote it down.
Ordinary people, and then we'll get into taxation, and then we'll get into the CAFR reports where they hide all the excess money, steal it, skim it from the top, putting it in offshore accounts to the tune of tens of trillions of dollars. So this is from a piece last 2 years ago, 2015.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Scott Walker, governor who's running for president, tells the audience a story about his first visit to Independence Hall in Philadelphia, where the founding fathers, all 55, 56 of them, all white men, all rich landowners, were trying to set up the we the people country and, omit women, omit Native Americans, omit slaves, but we the people that own land. So Walker has many times called the founding father ordinary people, and while campaigning, he emphasized that he himself didn't come from wealth or providence, even bragging that he bought a sweater for $1. So let's rewrite the little history here from what people are selling us into what's really happening. According to Brown University Emeritus History Professor Gordon Wood, author of Creation of the American Republic, the founding fathers, they were elite of the day involving the highest levels of society. And I'm not going to get into it here, but folks, just take a look at their homes. Here's George Washington's home. And the home was so big, it was known as Mount Vernon. The guy had a whole mountain. Mr. George, founding father, didn't tell
Like it's
a lie.
bigger than the White House back
Worked
then.
for the Jesuits, Freemason. James Madison, fourth president, grew up on plantation his family owned in Montpelier. They had to have a whole name for it. Look at the size of these estates, folks.
All right, we'll wait till this one.
In 1732, James Madison became the sole proprietor when he was able to retire from public life after he spent his time in politics. And he spent the rest of his life expanding his mansion. He had tons of money, folks. Thomas Jefferson was said to be so broke that at his death, he had borrowed so much money from the government that they took all his books in his library and formed the Library of Congress. Yet look what he was able to build. It still stands today on his estate called Monticello. Yeah, these are ordinary people, folks. John Adams, look at this estate,
Holy
folks.
crap.
Quincy, Massachusetts, just outside Boston. He bought it at the end of the Revolutionary War. Where did he get all this money? They were broke. They were done with scripts. Abraham Lincoln had to come up with the greenback. They were so broke. John Adams had a pretty good mansion here. Ben Franklin, he didn't go for the mansions too much. But then over here we got Alexander Hamilton, the British nobility, the man who founded the currencies, the banking system, and started the money system. His success in politics and law, making all this money, allowed this to commission architect John McComb to design a country home on his 50 acres of land in Upper Manhattan, what now called Hamilton Heights in Harlem. So you see, folks, these guys just had incredible wealth. So let's get into the taxation without representation or taxation with representation. They both stink, and it's both to enrich the rich and keep us poor and enslaved. So let's get into it. So I want to start with on this July 4th, 1776, and declared Day of Independence from the British, or no independence whatsoever. We're massively in debt and we're being worked. This is from the Economic Collapse blog. Americans will spend more than 7 billion hours preparing for their taxes and hand over $4 trillion to federal, state, and local governments. This is your work. This is your earnings, folks. You're handing it over. 30% of what they earn will pay their income taxes. Most people work till April 15th, tax day, just to pay their taxes every year. By the time all is said and done, a significant portion of the population ends up paying more than half of what they earn to the government, which is, as I showed before, is a corporation in the previous videos. So you can look at all these taxes: airport transportation, cigarette tax, dog's license fees, employer Medicare tax, Social Security tax, estate tax. They tax you when you're born, tax you when you die. Federal unemployment taxes, fishing license taxes, gift taxes, gasoline taxes, garbage taxes, highway access, hazardous waste taxes, hotel taxes, hunting license tax, import tax, inheritance tax, individual health, inspection fees, IRS tax, penalty taxes, library taxes, liquor taxes, local corporate income, state, school taxes, luxury taxes, marriage license taxes, Medicare taxes, parking meters, passport fees, property taxes. Think how people own property and how much revenue comes in.
Oh, hell no.
Comes in for property taxes, folks.
But
It's
you got to
amazing.
realize, our founding fathers, dude, even whether he's talking crap about him or not, or them or not, they did leave us some really good stuff. But the thing is, the crown, dude, they're only taxing us 1%. I'd almost rather pay 1% and be left the fuck alone than fucking look what you pay. They fucking write up your ass about everything. You can't own your own property because there's always a property tax on it. And if they all of a sudden people build a whole bunch of rich shit around you, your property tax goes up so much you can't even afford it. Even if your land is paid off. It's fucking insanity, dude. Our founding fathers are rolling over in their graves like, dude, we gave you the power to not let this happen. And we're letting it happen.
Taxes, state corporate taxes, state park entrance fees, telephone taxes, tire taxes,
that's for sure.
Fines, use taxes, utility taxes, vehicle registration, water rights, well permit fees, workman compensation, zoning permit. When the federal income tax was originally introduced a little more than 100 years ago, most Americans were taxed at 1%. U.S. tax code is now 13.8 million words long.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that.
75 years ago, it was 2 pages long. Today it's 198 pages on the 1040.
Yeah, and they still own us. That's the crazy thing, and we don't even realize it.
Over the last decade, ignorance is no excuse. The IRS has almost 2,000 different publication forms and instruction sheets. And here's, just an obvious one. 46 different tax professionals complete a tax return for a hypothetical household. All 46 came up with different results. This is also like how you allow you to drive at 65. The speed limit on a freeway might be 65, but everybody drives 75. Everybody's breaking the law in one way or the other. All right, so let's get into KFIR, the comprehensive annual financial reports, where they skim money off the top, put into offshore accounts.
She's a fucking demon.
We're broke when we are clearly not.
Her bloodline are demons. Or Lucifer, the god of this world.
So let's get into the comprehensive annual financial reports, or known as KFIR, CAFR. But I just wanted to show you where we're ending up. The super rich hold over $32 trillion in offshore havens, so they don't have to pay taxes, siphoning.
I saw somebody snubbed her the other day. I forget who or where, but I heard somebody snubbed her.
Study estimating the extensive global private financial wealth held in offshore accounts, excluding non-financial assets such as real estate, gold, yachts, and racehorses, puts the sum at between $21 and $32 trillion. Now remember, folks, this is back in 2012, July 22nd. The report also highlights the impact of the balance sheets of 139 developing countries of money held in tax havens by the private elites, putting wealth beyond the reach of local tax authorities. The research estimates since the 1970s, the richest citizens of these 139 countries have amassed 7.3 to 9.3 trillion of unrecorded offshore wealth by 2010. Private wealth held offshore represents a huge black hole in the world economy. No shit. Well, let's see how they got all this
Isn't
money.
that about how
This is the
much
CAFR.
money we
You
owe?
need to learn about the CAFR reports, Comprehensive Annual Financial Reports. All right. So this is from a post I did a couple years back, and all the credit goes to Walter Bruin and Clint Richardson out of Utah, who brought this to the public's attention, and I happen to pick it up, and it's really important that we start understanding where our money goes when we pay all our taxes and pay to the government. And as I proved in the other videos, previous U.S. Government, Washington, D.C. is a corporation held in state by the city.
Well, yeah, you see who's in control, huh?
Do the research there. So,
Pissed me off too. I'm not even over there.
Sales, corporate income, schools, and tax money go when we pay it, okay?
Well, neither are you.
How come we're always broke?
But
Where
yeah.
does the pension money go from a government holds of ours for decades? Where does our insurance money go? Where does the lottery money collected go? Where does Social Security money go? Workman's compensation paying? Why do we pay taxes for schools if we have no children? Where does the money go if someone dies before collecting their Social Security, even though they paid in every year since they've worked until their death? If gas taxes go to fix roads and bridges,
yes, we
property
are.
taxes and buildings go to build local utility and infrastructure. If sales
The better we
taxes
understand
go to
how we
support
are,
local
the better we can
infrastructure,
explain it to
then
people.
Where does our local, state, and federal taxes go that we pay into each year? All right, so let's get into it. So, again, this is from a post I'll put in here, but it's titled "The Greatest Scam, We're Not Broke, Far From It." The easiest way to steal money from someone is them to never know they had it in the first place.
Yep.
Okay? And just a sidebar, why we pay taxes, and every person will answer the exact same way. We've been programmed like little parrots. If we don't pay taxes, come on, folks, fill it in. If we don't pay taxes, we will go to jail. Even my fifth grade kids I talk to, they say the same thing. By fifth grade, they all know they'll go to jail if they don't pay their taxes. It's been programmed into us. All right. So what if you found out? What if you
We're in a
found
zombie
out that
apocalypse.
most, if not all, state
We live in one.
and city governments in the United States are not broke?
We all know 98% of the people around us are, and I used to say this, and I know it's mean, but whatever, mentally fucking retarded. I mean, it's sad, and there's nothing almost that you can do to get them to open their eyes, because they don't want to admit that they were stupid enough to be lied to and believe it. It's like, hey man, trust me, it's worth it. It's freeing.
What if you were to find out that the money we've been paying into our governments is immediately invested with banks and laws, and that it's passed that makes it illegal?
Yeah, it might be worse. You're right.
It's illegal to use the investment money to balance our budget deficits, and that each state has millions of shares of stocks and bonds and investment accounts that it could sell to balance the budget. These are investments accounts, folks. These aren't balancing budget accounts, and they differentiated so they could hide it, as we'll get into. Now, what if you learn that there is enough money in these investment accounts to be completely out of debt and have money left over for a very
We all
sizable
did for a
refund to
long
every
time.
man, woman, and child, and that it represents 83% of the wealth in the stock and bond markets? What if you could find all this information in public records under each state and municipal's comprehensive annual financial reports, which anyone can Google and see for yourself? So what they did is they created these investments, so when the money comes in, they invest it, and when it's held, it's invested, and then they declared that you cannot use investment money to satisfy budget deficits. How cool is that? And this has been going on for decades. So every county, state, city, and municipality has a budget detailing costs and expenses.
Daisy?
These budgets do not include total gross receipts. For many years, people accepted the accounting practices that guide these formal budgets. Walter Buren had spent over a decade investing the comprehensive annual financial reports. He was a former commodities advisor. The CAFR, or Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, is never mentioned in the media and virtually unknown to the public, but it confirms the existence of a parallel government accounting system that only shows the public one side of the story. So if they claim we're broke and running a deficit, but in fact we have billions and trillions of dollars in our budget surplus. These are in the investments accounts. Have you ever noticed that when a bond or proposition gets passed in your state for a construction or land management project, the actual project itself sometimes isn't scheduled to begin until months or years in the future? It's even written in most bills that the project won't start a far offset future date. So here comes the money in, they invest it, they collect interest, they make money on it, and then it can't be used to balance the budget. Only the money designated for the project is used. And that's not all. They have many different ways they do this. It's scamming or skimming off the top. The money for the proposition or bill is immediately released upon passage of legislation. The taxpayer money gets directly into what we call a holding account. Then it's invested, it gains interest, it builds up extreme wealth, and months of years of interest and capital gains on investments from the original taxpayer-funded money. When it comes time to use the original amount of money for the project, the capital gains of that supposedly dormant money are separated from the original amount into the holding account and stays in the government's discretionary investment coffers. And we'll get into discretionary funds in a little bit here. So the profit is no longer considered tax since it was earned by investment or by accrued interest. Here's how the legalese comes in. They call it an investment tax, not a budget. Okay? So mainly in other investment funds called fiduciary and enterprise funds, these are the two overarching funds that govern the money when they siphon it off when it comes in, grease the pockets of the in-the-know politicians and corporations and other people. Some open what are called self-insurance funds and then draw dividends for themselves and their fellow conspirators for the rest of their political careers by insuring themselves with their own insurance funds. And the cycle goes on and on.
Bastards.
And on. Get this. For the last 70 years. This is why the politicians never leave office, the Nancy Pelosi's, all these guys.
And this is why they hate us. Because we actually will hear something or figure something out or actually research it. And this is what they're afraid of, people like us figuring this out. Because if every single one of us can just get one person to listen and that person gets one person to listen and on and on and on, we can wake up the whole fucking country. And so any of you that don't have a channel, dude, make a channel. Even if you just mirror my videos. I mean, I do a lot of that, of just mirroring people's videos that have good information. You know, I haven't felt like talking too much lately, but I'm sure I'll get back to that. But we all, plant the seed. We all need to be doing that.
Never leave office because they're all in on the scam and they're getting paid incredible wealth. They're making incredible wealth on their.
Because when I see the Father, I want to be able to say that I tried.
So the money made on these individual government investments is not shown because it's not the taxpayer budget any longer. It doesn't have to be accounted for by the taxpayers. Again, credit to Clint Richardson at a reality blog, which I'll put in the notes. He's done extensive work on this, and you can go through this. It's a pretty long piece I did on here. Where does all the taxpayer investment money go? Well, as I showed you, $32 trillion. This is back in 2012. Is hidden in offshore accounts. Much bigger than that. Here's Walter Buren's account, the biggest game in town. All right, so CAFR. What is the definition of CAFR? It's
commingled fiduciary enterprises
funds. And it's the other set of books that includes all the government income, investment, and assets. Commingled funds are the fiduciary investment and enterprise, like lottery, pensions, workman comps, public utilities, public golf courses, insurances, and tax revenues and expenditures. So fiduciary is investments, and the enterprise is all the other taxes. I owe, so it's off to work I go. All have been broken down into individual funds with their own profit and loss and balance sheets that require a comprehensive financial report to fully understand the total value. These reports are the only place we can view the full extent of the government's funds, investments, and holdings and the use of them. It's set up as a simple, quick evaluation to show total income, total assets, total investments, and total net worth. Never a peep about the public. Due to money control involved, the governments from all across the country have been developing their own non-tax income for over 65 years.
Yeah, it must be nice.
If you want to search for the CAFR, any state, municipality, golf course, utility, whatever, just put in comprehensive annual financial report or CAFR, and you can see where the money is here. So the CAFR is set up to be an evaluation tool. As we said, it costs $30,000.
Well, I'm glad you're on our side now.
Say our salary or our income was $100,000 a year, and we had $1 million in investments, and our total net worth was $3 million. What if we talked only about our $30,000 budget as being our net worth? It would be ludicrous. But this is what the government does, okay? So is this an international intentional scam? You betcha.
Oh, freaking Obama. Literally, Obama put us in more debt than all presidents combined before. No joke. It's fucking insanity.
65, 70 years, they just happen to leave out decades and decades and decades of investment wealth that has been building up. The decades and decades of
But it's all these crooks.
venture projects are created separately from the budgetary process. The CAFR was created by a group called the Government Financial Officers Association in 1946 is when they started accounting for it. There are over 54,000 separate corporations within a local
No. Hey, you love the Father. I'm telling you. Remember that thing that we were going over, play on words? There's another video that I watched. I'll have to bring it up. Where, it literally breaks down what words really mean. And when we're saying Lord and when we're saying God, you're actually pretty much, those are in the name of literally Baal and Satan. I'm not joking. It's freaking nuts. So say the Father. But I'm going to play that video next. That's actually one that I wanted to play next and I didn't. But no, it's insane, dude. It's just like what we were talking about before, or the other video, play on words. And think about it. They got us sitting here while we think that we're saying something to actually the Father, and we're actually saying it to the wrong person. So when I'm going to play that video after this one, it's insane.
54,000.
We need to start recognizing what we say.
Every CAFR report is a separate corporation. A city is a corporation, a state is a corporation, a school district is a corporation.
There you go, brother.
Filing their own separate report. They see the tens of billions of dollars they never knew existed in their floor. Then I bring to their attention, you're just looking at the state report. Let's look at Washington. It has $64 billion in liquid investment funds. Now, the state of Washington has 2,300 separate local government corporations filing their own reports.
It's a good route to go down.
Counties, school districts, and authorities. Now, remember, they get investments and they get interest on this, folks. So they make money on the money of other people's money. It's called OPM, other people's money. And then they invest it and declare we can't use it for the budgetary process.
Necessary
that's
evil.
Why we're always broke.
Necessary
the president
evil.
of the country is a lawyer, along with his wife. And
No, that sounds bad.
More than half of all U.S. presidents, 56 of 100 senators, over 35% of the congressmen, and most state governors are all bar attorneys. BAR stands for British Accredited Registry, registered in the City of London, and they're all lawyers, so they all know about this, and that's why they are still in power. So, commingled funds. They're government mutual funds, not included in the state budget reports. They're separate. So they have to keep, there's not allowed to be a part of the budget accounting, as I've said a few times now. And there's the two type of main funds, the enterprise fund and the fiduciary fund. Each time money comes in, there's a separate fund with a separate profit and loss of schedule of revenues and expenditures dedicated solely to that fund, but put under the overarching commingled funds. All right? So the enterprise funds is the operations of government. An enterprise CAFR is established to account for operations. The fiduciary fund is based for investments. These invest and use our money to make non-budget profits and investments partnering with private businesses, banks, and other countries. The fund accounting also has been applied for investment accounting, portfolio accounting, and securities accounting. All synonyms describing the process of accounting for a portfolio of investments such as securities, commodities, and real estate held in an investment fund such as a mutual fund or a hedge fund. All right, so let's take a look at California and how this actually goes about in breaking down. 2-3 years ago, California was in a terrible state budget in 2008, 2009, and they were closing down California parks and said they discovered that there was an excess of deficit of $55 million.
Whoops.
Only problem is, the Sun Mercury News reported that there was $2.3 billion found in 500 accounts under the CAFR State Park Fund. So this was brought up, and then it was shuttered by immediately the article was closed. I happened to catch it and copy it, but 2.3 billion in the state park fund. Well,
we'll go a little farther with that. Pretty much the only way that they could get the Emperor Constantine at that time could get all the army and get everybody underneath him was to make one religion. So he melded Christianity with paganism. A lot of people don't know that. Christmas tree, paganism.
55 million deficit. This is just one example of how they do it. And here I list all the money in the different funds, or Clint Richardson did actually, I'm sorry, and posted this all, and this will be in the show notes. Just look how much money we're talking about here. So here we have over $20 billion in the total special revenue fund. And then we go into the enterprise funds. This is just California, folks. 34 million, 3 billion, 159 million.
So pretty much we're not in debt.
These are paid,
but we are because they take all of this.
Invested, and then they tell us there's no money there, folks, because they steal it and put it in their offshore accounts. Judges Retirement Fund, all of these.
Time for some people to hang.
California Fund, $55 billion, folks. And they're raising tuitions on everybody. And Janet Napolitano, the Jesuit running the University of California, stealing funds and having lavish parties and whatnot. It's all a scam. It's all a scam, folks. We got to wake up. All right, so this is under hiding the money in thousands of government funds. So government accounting is different. A government entity has many coffee cans or funds, and money comes in and goes out. A big government.
Oh man, I was on. This was months ago. Forget how long exactly, but probably I don't know, 6 months ago maybe at the most, but 5 or 6. And I was on this channel. I found it was a pretty good channel. Lots of hardcore Christians, and it was funny. Somebody had said something. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. They didn't even come up with the letter J until blah blah blah, whatever it was, the 1400s or whatever. Oh man, dude, it was hella funny. This dude just started ripping on me and losing it, and hella people just started bashing on him. Like, dude, what's your problem? And it was just so funny how offended people can get when you say stuff, and that's why we got to try to do it without being cocky. And that's something that I've been trying to learn. Because some people are just so damn sensitive about hearing it in the first place. If you come off cocky, they shut up and clam up right away. It's crazy.
Thousands of coffee. What money is allowed to go in a particular coffee can is determined by law, and you can't just take money from one and put it in another. The general fund can take money from anywhere, taxes, fees, assessments, and so on, but the debt service fund can only take money from certain sources. The revenue fund can only take money from certain revenues. A special assessment fund can take it from that particular assessment. This is the game they play. An understanding, let's say you have a checking account with $1,000 in a savings account and $10,000 in 2 different banks. You only reported to the government that you had $1,000 as your net worth because you didn't want to use your savings to pay your bills, taxpayer obligations. You'd be audited and put under a federal debtor's prison. But for the government, this simple designation of non-governmental or non-taxpayer
with our money
and investment
money
allows them to hide all of this wealth of the people in the budget report while never mentioning the funds and wealth that's in the CAFE report. This is our money we've paid into, folks. This is our money. So Clint Richardson on page 107 of California CAFERS shows $6 billion annual interest cost and $164 million in state debt are also cover-ups when contrasted with taxpayers' investment. A sharp irony is that many of California's investments are in other government debt securities. This means a net loss to taxpayers as one group pays another interest minus the cost of managing the debt. Now remember, when every investment banker does a transaction, they get a fee on top of this. This is where they create all this wealth. California has over 5 million shares of Morgan Stanley stock and Bank of America stock and Citicorp. They could sell off all of these and have incredible wealth, as I'll show you. And each California, here it is down here, would receive over $50,000 if $600 billion was returned to California's 12 million households. Yet nobody even knows about this. Our pension funds, we could access our pension funds and the money that the local municipalities have, and we could keep it at home instead of investing in offshore accounts, investing in international funds, national funds, and even state funds. What if the local municipalities were able to take care of their own with I know in Mendocino County, there's over $230 million in the pension funds, and we had a choice of how we invested it in our local communities? Just think about that for a moment, folks. We could change everything in a heartbeat. The state claims they need to overtax Californians 320 times just to pay their bills.
Oh my God.
All right, so let's move on and get going on this. And for days. So let's add up what we found here and see how if California could pay off its debt tomorrow and never have to issue a taxpayer bond again. So here we see the special revenues funds. This is all money sitting there that they all get interest on and put in their offshore accounts, folks. Every day, it just rings up. They don't do anything. They steal our money, putting in these separate funds by law,
Crazy
and then
Daisy.
they just take it. I don't want to get into the California tax fund, but here, let's take a look at LA. The county of LA had a budgetary basis in 2007 of $17.5 billion. From 2008 to 2011, LA promoted how they were pulling in the belt and how they had to pull in the belt and cutting back expenses. The reality of the situation for those 5 years, and the CAFR report showed that they increased the budgetary income from 17.5 billion to 25.8 billion, an increase of 8.3 billion or 47% increase. As they promoted the population, they were in dire straits and having to cut back, and we have to pay more and more. Are you getting how this works?
The dog's annoying. I like the cat more.
So money, like just here is this CalPERS just happens to own 5 million shares of Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan 11 million shares. These are all money that they bought these stocks with our money on, folks, called them investments and said we can't use it to balance the budget. Yet it's all in Wall Street. It's all in the Wall Street game, okay? So here's how's the California pension fund scam.
Took our money.
It's a special case. This is a worldwide pension system. So we're under the Roman Social Security, and it's a worldwide pension system. And I'm going to show you how the Social Security is under a worldwide a pension system that we're under. So the taxpayer money is being contributed to these pension funds with no benefit to the majority of tax holders in the state. The employees themselves have no equity in the taxpayer portion of contributions that are given over to the pension funds and is the property of the government fund,
Daisy,
not the employees. So they put it in the investment accounts and you never see it again. So let's look how much they've contributed. $18 billion, $6 billion from corporations from employees, taxpayers, $12 billion. Remember that the so-called budget deficit was coded by the governor in 2012 was only $15.7 billion, revised from $9.2 billion. So here's contributions totaling, what is that, $37 billion. And they're saying that the budget deficit was $9.2 billion. We could pay off the deficit in a heartbeat. This means that 37.6.
This is how greedy these bastards have gotten.
As of July 1st, 2011.
Look, this is how greedy they've gotten because they could have literally paid off the damn debt and had billions of dollars. Millions, billions, depending on which freaking situation you're going over, that they have left over that they could just keep. And even use part of that to actually fix other things. They're scamming so much money from us, it is ridiculous. And why the hell every time it goes up to 6 people, it drops back down to 4? Hope it's not kicking you guys off.
$12 billion to support state employees by allowing the California government to give their taxpayer-funded money to the pension and fund systems. Okay? I hope you're getting upset. You should be. All right, so I want to go over how the California lottery works. Now, this is another scam. So they have a lottery in
schools,
every country,
right?
or in every state. A lot of counties, I think, are doing them too. So here you pay in your money over 6 months. Let's say they take in $25-30 million or something over this period of time. Well, every time the money comes in, every dollar, every day, it gets invested. They have overnight investment rates. You can make money in a matter of hours. So as soon as the money comes in over months, it gets invested. So the lottery fund cash is put in the electric fund transfer and the risk management fund, and the California Police Officer Memorial Fund, and the Surplus Money Investment Fund. California has taken in $59 billion in lottery proceeds since 1985. They're required to contribute almost $30 billion to the Education Fund, and $30.5 billion is paid out to lucky winners over time, with $19 billion in operating and administration expenses.
What?
$19 billion in operating and administering expenses.
Did you get that?
About a lottery ticket.
We don't get shit.
The money they took in. Crazy.
Oh my god.
Lottery money comes in through the ETF and it is put in a fund invested by the state. Weeks and months of invested increases. The government takes and keeps the investment income. Then a winner is declared, but by law, they must pay close to half on that kind of money in taxes.
Yep.
So the government simply says, would you like to pay out over 26
They've already
years?
stole 99% of it, and they want half.
Say it's $50 million. They're paying you $25 million over time. They get to invest it. Or they can pay you the $25 million out of the $50 million, and they get to keep the $25 million in investment funds. all the while they made money while investing your money as it came in, making the lottery until the date it was funded. See how this works? So the education fund is a vague term. No money goes to the schools as stated. They can
Yeah,
call the
this should
fund
piss
anything they
everybody
want.
off.
The proof is in the pudding. Where does it go? Every single winner is going to have 25 to 30% to the federal government, which is a huge reason they allowed legalized gambling. Okay? The state then takes the investment money and invests it in the federal securities through banks who make bank on fees. All right? If you read your state constitution, you'll find that the concept of personal property does not really exist. It was required for the people of a territory to give all lands to the United States. This I covered in the previous, that we do not own our lands. We are just simply tenants. Banks do not lose anything from a foreclosure if you default on a loan, because money is created when banks make loans to persons. Since the money is created in a bank loan, the bank has not loaned you any of its own money, which is why it needs no reserves to cover the loan. It monetizes your loan application and documents through the Fed, and then as a middleman, loans you the newly created money out of nowhere. The bank has then got a zero balance at the time of the loan. The contract you agree via contract to pay the bank, which is all profit.
6.6 billion acres that bitch owns.
The bank is just helping and scamming
Imagine
you
that.
to create the money that technically you could create by being your own bank.
6.6 billion
Bank has no
acres.
interest in seeing you succeed in making your loan payments. They would much rather have you create more money for a new loan, for which again it will use none of its own money. This is why they keep loaning money, $1 trillion for prime interest car loans, student debt, 1.3 trillion, home loans.
Oh hell yeah, who wouldn't?
The whole thing is just a big scam, folks.
But
there's no free
you
country.
realize it's actually one of the worst things that usually can ever happen to somebody. Literally, when people win the lottery, and we all like to hope that we wouldn't, be stupid. I'd hope at my age now I wouldn't be stupid, but when I was 20, 21, oh man, you either end up ODing or losing all of your money or killing yourself or somebody kills you. The last one, number 5, is if you actually are smart with it. But yeah, usually you end up dead or broke. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I saw the statistics on it and it's like, damn, dude, there are not very many lottery winners that are actually alive or in a good place 5 years after they've won the lottery. They're usually fucked. It's crazy.
Own anything that can't be taken away.
But trust me, I want to win it too.
Private property, unless you're willing to fight. Sadly, most are not. I could go on, but it's all ruled by the Vatican, and here I want to get into the Vatican claims they're 19 million in red. Give me a break. They say they're trying to help the poor, and they're preachers for the poor. Yet they hold more wealth than all of us combined in a factor of huge. They could sell just a few of their paintings in the Vatican Library vault and pay off all the world's debt, end hunger and whatnot. Just to note, the Vatican is a corporation. The Vatican government both operate as non-profit and for-profit. So what they did is
it messes with people.
And created a corporation for the federal
government.
government.
Let me know when it's kicking you off, and let me know when it's taking down your comments. Because I don't take down people's comments. Yeah, let me know about that because they like to do that. It'll show on my side. It'll get up 6-7 people, drops down to 4 instantly, and it's like, what the hell? So I never even know how many people are on here.
So both have an annual financial report. Both the Vatican and the government have real estate holdings. They both promote debt while hiding their investment asset balances. They both have a central bank which bails them out in the moment of needs, then expects Catholic or taxpayers to pay the bill. They openly lie by omission to the people of the earth. Both use depreciation of capital assets to show on their financial reports a liability against the other assets.
Oh, the Pope. Oh, God. So the Pope. Oh, my goodness. So the Pope admitted that he was Satan. Because, I don't know, some guy came up to him and he was like, you and John Paul or whatever are saints. And he was like, no, I was a saint. I'm Satan. And he's like, no, you're not. This is no joke. That dude, that fool is fucking demonic.
It's all tricks, guys. Both create budgets that are falsely imploded with such things as future liabilities so as to justify its raising of taxes and its request for tithing. Give us, please, we're so broke. Both create
that is nice hypocrisy.
Financial statements as for proper profit entities, but to not use these
Hang the
profits for the
tyrants. Yes, it
benefits
is.
of the people.
Like, really? Really?
Both lay off employees with the excuse of budget shortfalls, both own and control the media through stock investment and coercion, and use it to hide all this from the people by keeping them entertained with everything but disinformation. So ironic that the Vatican, we can see perhaps the best example of how government corporation lies by the act of utter and ridiculous disassociation and non-disclosure of true wealth. And yes, the Vatican is a corporation. It's a nation state. It also calls itself a church. So I'll put this in the show notes. There's a lot more here for you to go through, including how the Social Security is a well, it's 2.6 trillion.
Does everybody remember though all the assassination attempts on the popes throughout the years? It's like, remember before when you were still blind, and you're like, man, that's messed up. Why would somebody do any of that? Now look what we know, and you're like, whoa, yeah, I could see why somebody would do that, especially with the pedophilia.
Assets, and that money is ours, but they put it in investment accounts, so we can't get it.
They are sick.
So I'll put this all in here. You can read more, but please share this with people. Here's another one from Carl Henman, using data from the Bank of International Settlement, IMF, World Bank. Chief economist McKinsey James Henry reports that 1% have deposited 21 trillion to 32 trillion in tax havens to evade taxes. Okay, the so-called rainy day accounts, rainy day,
wow,
are tragic. Are tragic, comic, in non-disclosure and non-performance for budget, infrastructure, and pension filing. And I said before, California has $8 trillion in surplus. This is as of 2012. So you can read more and more about how this goes on and the rainy day funds excuse and whatnot. But I think you get the idea now how money is skimmed off the top. And get into the Social Security and all the countries. They've created this International Social Security Fund, or the International Social Security Association, again, a corporation, where they can funnel the money off even further. And so the chances of it getting back are even more harder to trace as they put layers and layers and corporations and whatnot. But please read the show liner notes and let's yell fire, folks. It's time to start screaming about this. The taxation is slavery, and we need to wake up as to where our hard work and labor is going. And it's not going back to us, and they're just going to keep bleeding us until we yell stop. It's up to us. It's up to you. It's up to me. I hope this helps further us down the road, and we can stop funding the madness, funding the bombing of brown people, funding the rich people getting wealthier at all our expense. Because at the top, all they're going to do is take more, folks. I guarantee it. This is a plain
Yeah,
truth
a little
out.
bit.
Peace.
Where'd you go?
Catch you on the next video. Thanks for listening.
You're not still on with us. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, you are still here. I thought you left us. Okay, what the? Okay, so give me one sec. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see.
They say if you give a man a fish.
All right, so we're gonna we're gonna laugh for a couple minutes. There we go.
He'll eat for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, then he's going to get a fishing license, but he doesn't have any money. So he's going to get a job, and he has to get into the Social Security system and pay taxes. And now you're going to audit the poor cocksucker because he's not really good with math. You pull the IRS van up to your house, he'll take all your shit. He'll take your Black Velvet Elvis and your Batman toothbrush and your penis pump, and that all goes up for auction with the burden of proof on you because you forgot to
I'm sorry it keeps kicking you off.
Because you were just worried about eating a fuck.
I'm sorry. I know I'm fucking up the comedy. No, what is crazy too is to leave when you leave your comments, they try to remove them and make it so I can't see them, and I got to keep hitting refresh top first, or newest first or whatever. I got to go up to that because it will not let me see that your messages. It's freaking crazy. I think what they do is they try to get the connections that you've had the longest, and I think that's what they try to break. I really do, because I'll look at my thing and be like, whoa, I got 3 subscribers this hour. And then I have the same amount of subscribers. And it's like, oh, okay. So every one they gave me, you took away. It's weird. I'll get 5 in one day, and then I'll look later that day and they're gone. And I'm like, dude, they do not like me.
Fish, and you couldn't even cook the fish because you needed a permit for an open flame. And then the health department is going to start asking you a lot of questions.
Sorry, we'll go back because this is fucking hilarious.
Audit. Got to get a fishing license, but he doesn't have any money. So he's going to get a job, and he has to get into the Social Security system and pay taxes. And now you're going to audit the poor cocksucker because he's not really good with math. You pull the IRS van up to your house, he'll take all your shit. He'll take your Black Velvet Elvis and your Batman toothbrush and your penis pump, and that all goes up for auction with the burden of proof on you because you forgot to carry the one because you were just worried about eating a fucking fish, and you couldn't even cook the fish because you needed a permit for an open flame. And then the health department is going to start asking you a lot of questions about where are you going to dump the scales and the guts. This is not a sanitary environment. And ladies and gentlemen, if you get sick of it all at the end of the day, not even legal to kill yourself in this country. Thanks again.
1991, after we bankrupted the Soviet Union, and it broke up.
It sometimes is good. The smaller you are, the more under the radar you can get away with, and I don't know. I hope all this shit starts changing after everything that came out.
Basically, we experienced the greatest amount of growth any nation's ever experienced in the history of the world. Why? Because white, black, and brown were finally working together, okay? And all that changed on a Tuesday morning in 2001 when Arabs flew airplanes into buildings, and boom, we had a brand new race war. We had white, black, and brown versus a new kind of brown, okay? And that's where we're at now, okay? The Muslim is gonna get you. The Muslim is gonna get you. The Muslim is gonna get you tonight. Allah, Allah. Allah, Allah. That's the new boogeyman. Whatever you do, don't look in the mirror and say Muslim 3 times. One of them unibrow sons of bitches will show up right behind you with a big-ass turbine beard, genie bottle in one hand, magic carpet in the other, dynamite belt. Last thing you'll smell is couscous, camel hump, and diesel fuel. Boom! Then he blows you up. Nuh-uh. Because the Muslim is gonna get you. The Muslim is gonna get you. The Muslim is gonna get you tonight. Allah. Allah.
So this is
Okay,
Jesus
I don't like
here,
this
right?
one.
He's a little tiny
But whatever.
Arab Jew. He looks like Super Mario. Now,
Yeah, fuck it.
if
I'm
Jesus
skipping
is
past
this
this.
big,
I hate.
that
I
means
don't.
his cross was maybe my.
Yeah, I'm not giving that guy.
About how bad a person you are by how soon after September 11th you masturbated, like how long you waited. And for me, it was between the 2 buildings going down, so I have a feeling that
Yeah, you're so
I
aggressive.
had to do it. I had to, otherwise they win. That's the way I was looking at it at the time.
I should explain, I'm from Britain. I look like this because my father is Irish and my mother is Roger Federer. We were watching the news recently, BBC News, none of your CBC nonsense. And Liz Hurley was on the news. They put her age after her name, so it said Liz Hurley, 50. And my girlfriend turned to me and went, I hope I look that good when I'm 50. I said, you don't look that good now. Liz Hurley's a good-looking woman. You'd agree with that, wouldn't you? I mean, I don't want to be crude. Well, I do want to be crude, but not until later on in the show. I'll ease it in.
It's okay.
It's a gift. No, put it this way, Liz Hurley, I would ride her like a stolen bike. You look as if you may require clarity, so what I'm saying is, Liz Hurley, I would crawl over broken glass to suck the cock of the last man that fucked her.
Oh God, that's disgusting.
Flooding. There was terrible flooding in Great Britain last year, and I saw this woman on the news in a flooded front room crying. I thought, crying's not helping. A nurse finds a rectal thermometer in her pocket and thinks, some arsehole's got my pen.
Everyone was going on about the diving for some reason. It's not even a difficult dive. It's the same diving board you get at decent swimming baths. 9/11, that was a difficult dive. But it's good to see someone grab their ankles on 9/11 throwing a few turns on the way down. Nice to see someone come down with a bit of style that day. Just one guy surfing down on a desk. I said that as it was happening, and it's taken 11 years to become acceptable.
Father, sitting at home, just reading the newspaper. His little girl comes running in. She's only 6. Hello, darling. Hello, Daddy. You've been playing? Yeah. In the park? Yeah. With your friends? Well, until the man came along. Till the man came along. Yeah, a man came along, and he asked my friends to leave, so it's just me and him. Darling, come over. Oh, whatever happened, none of it was your fault, okay, darling? None of it was your fault. But tell Daddy every detail. What happened? He took me behind a tree so no one could see what we were doing. Oh, God, darling, and then what happened? He took my dress off. Oh, God, what happened next? What happened?
I haven't seen this. This
He
is
took his thing out. Oh, God, darling, and then what happened? Nothing, that was it. Oh, we'll make something up.
what? Okay, yeah, that one pretty
God
much suck
loves
balls.
you, Jesus loves you, some bullshit like that.
Oh, this dude again.
Because Christians have this belief that there's a man on a cloud that loves them.
You
Let's
idiot.
say he exists. He doesn't fucking love you. I've heard Christians say that my God loves me unconditionally. No such thing as unconditional love. That's a load of fucking bullshit. My mum always throws that one out there. My mum always goes, Jim, I love you no matter what. I love you unconditionally. And I always think to myself, what if I cut one of her tits off? What if I just got a rusty blade and started hacking into that obese woman's breast? And, like, would she still love me? She might. I'm not willing to test it, but I can tell you for sure. I can tell you for sure that God does not love you unconditionally. I have already given you a condition. If you don't put a small amount of water on a baby's forehead, it burns for eternity.
Oh shit.
That's the condition of a fucking psychopath.
And I was there
Jackass.
for 9/11, which is just God. We ended up with 2,400 widows. 2,400 widows, each who finally this year ended up with a check for $5 million each. And I was thinking.
Maybe tomorrow night, bro.
Partner for over 6 years. Think about it for a second. What would you rather have? Someone who farts and drools in their sleep, whose mother's living with you, or a nice check? At least there gotta be 3 women out there that were going, Harry's dead, boo-hoo. And I'm gonna find those 3 women, and I'm gonna ring their doorbells. Yenna Bernstein, it's Joan Rivers. Guess what? We found Harry! You have to return the $5 million. No! Good night. A pleasure working for all of you. Just a pleasure.
And it's not because I don't believe in a higher power. I definitely do. My thing is, when I go to church, I can't get past the fact that I'm just listening to some fucking guy. You ever think of that shit when you go in there? That's just some dude. And people are like, no, that's a special guy. No, it isn't. It isn't.
Yeah, no, he called, yeah, I saw when she was walking down, probably getting plastic surgery or going in to get plastic surgery, whatever. But yeah, she turned around and laughed and was like, everybody knows she's a man. And that was her death sentence.
He didn't like levitate down from the ceiling like, oh, his white light around them. Why would you listen to another human being tell you where you're gonna go when you die? It's just like, dude, have you ever been dead? No. Great. So wouldn't it be safe to assume that you wouldn't have the slightest fucking idea what you're talking about?
Shut up.
Yeah, you're making it up. You're making the shit up. You're not fooling me with the robes and the candles. Speaking in old English, he said it under you is. Shut the fuck up. You don't talk like that. You're just some guy. Your name's Jerry. You played soccer. You got your ass kicked in gym class, and now you're doing this.
That's what I'm waiting for. The timing of this Michael Jackson shit is what makes me doubt it. Every time this war is going out of control, or the economy gets bad, or something is wrong with the world at large, it's always these moments in history that Michael Jackson will coincidentally jerk off a kid. This is getting ridiculous. Are you planning this shit? Do you have meetings?
Michael, thank you for coming. As you know, Michael, the war has not been going as well as we expected. There's been a lot of hiccups, and the public is asking us a lot of questions, of course. And, well, Michael, there's no nice way to say this, and all I know how to do is be direct, so let me just be direct. We're going to need you to jerk off another child, Mike. I'm sorry. I am sorry. But it would really help out.
Or maybe he did it. Who knows? Who knows? That's the thing. That's what I wanted to say. Who knows?
Yeah, isn't it weird how many of these go towards
Mike,
pedophilia?
God and this little boy know. That's about it. That's about it. The only reason that I can even talk about this shit is because everybody is speculating. They all think he did it. And I don't think he did it. I'm alone in this. I don't think he did it. I'm not going to say I don't think he did it. That's too strong.
God.
Let me just say I am reserving judgment until all the facts come out. But so far from what I heard, I mean, the kid said he's
they're all
cancer.
fucking pedos.
He was in Make-A-Wish Foundation. He claims he had 2 weeks to live, and it was his dying wish to meet Michael Jackson. Come on, man, give me a fucking break. This kid is 10 years old.
Pretty
You
much.
don't remember Thriller? The fuck you want to meet Michael Jackson for, honestly? I remember Thriller.
Yeah, I didn't watch this whole thing, so I wasn't really sure. But let's see.
I'll put it that way.
But so what do we got? 2 out of there's 10 of these. So 2 so far have talked about pedophilia. Because that first one I skipped through, that was one that I saw when I watched part of the video.
2 weeks. Why not Usher or somebody like
2.
this? So then the kid claims he goes to Michael's house. This is where it all gets crazy.
Okay, we're gonna skip past the pedo ones. Hopefully that's the last one. Come on, how long is this damn joke? Really?
I like men. Men like me. We like each other. I hate women. Women hate me. We hate each other. The only reason I couldn't be gay is because I could never fuck a man. Because I could never fuck something that I respect.
Oh, fuck.
I was raised Catholic. The thing that used to annoy me about church when I was little was all the standing up and sitting down and kneeling. I wish the priest could just pick a position and fuck me.
Oh my god, so 3. So 3. 3 so far.
Who's had 7 abortions?
Oh god,
Crime fighter.
what's even better? Really, bitch? I mean, oh
A
god.
black woman who's had 7 abortions. A crime fighter.
See, it's either gotta be pedophilia shit or
Speaking of
abortion shit.
homosexuality, I consider myself fairly open-minded, but something has come to my attention I find absolutely shocking. I don't know if you've heard about it. These new grade school books for children to teach them gay lifestyles. You know what I'm talking about? One of them is called Heather's Two Mommies. The other is called Daddy's New Roommate.
She likes black dudes,
I'm going to
too.
have to draw the line here, folks, and say this is absolutely disgusting, okay? It is grotesque and evil. I'm talking about Daddy's New Roommate.
Heather's Two Mommies is pretty cool. I don't know if you check that out. They're hugging on page 7. Oh, go mommies, go, go. Anyway, it makes me miss my youth.
It was, I mean, here's one. Be careful how much you drink. Remember, alcohol loosens inhibitions. So you may end up doing something you regret, or worse. Oh, I'm sorry. Do I regret getting drunk and digging up the corpse of Anne Frank and fucking it on the steps of her house?
Really, dude? You had necrophilia next.
No.
Dude, this is sad.
I thought it was pretty cool.
This is sad.
Don't be upset by this information if you're indeed a dumb cunt with your dumb cunt spouse, your dumb cunt kids, and your dumb cunt family with your dumb cunt friends. Because society is very accommodating to dumb cunts. In fact, there are places where you and your dumb cunt family can go once a week and meet other dumb cunt families. And you can sing songs. And it's called the church.
Oh, what a fucking cunt.
And they've never
You're the cunt,
away
bud.
a group of dumb
But yeah,
cunts.
the church pretty much is
The church
corrupt
loves
anyways.
dumb cunts. Doesn't like the smart, what with their constant questions. Smart are always asking questions, and that's like fucking cancer to religion.
I have this nightmare that I go to Hollywood and find out that Mr. T is a faggot. Really, and he be walking up to people going,
Hey boy. Hey boy. You look mighty cute in them jeans. Now come on over here and fuck me up the ass. If you want to understand men, ladies, I'm here for you.
This guy's, I like this guy.
I'm
He's
just
funny.
telling you what we are.
I bet he won't do
Not
pedophilia.
who we are, what we are. Just like what we
I
are
bet he won't.
that makes us struggle. And really, men are perfect creatures except for, one. Like, if most women would want to be a man, if you didn't have to give up that power that you have, which is our weakness. That's our weakness. It's very difficult. I'm telling you, man. Like, I don't want to be with other women, ever. Like, I want to just walk down the street and go, I never need to look at another woman again because I'm with the last woman I'm ever going to be with. And I'm like, but it ain't real. It's just... Like, no guy wants to cheat and hurt his woman, man. That hurts. First of all, think about what cheating is for a second, ladies. Cheating is a man. He sneaks out of his own house to go, like, find some happiness behind your back so your feelings aren't hurt. Cheating is for you. It's not for me. We don't want to hurt you. If you give a lie detector test to a man and a woman and ask them the same questions, man, we would pass them both up to a point where it's like, hey, ask a woman, you love your man, you love your family, you love your home, you love what you built? Yep. All right. You see Brad Pitt or Denzel Washington or whatever standing there, would you risk everything you built with your man just to sleep with him? And women, look, they go, nah, I wouldn't. And they'll pass the test. They be like, yes, they look good, but I wouldn't. Ask guys the same thing, boom, love your woman, the kids, the house. Yeah. You see that girl passed out behind the dumpster?
It's sad. That's most men, yeah.
Would you risk everything for a passed out woman behind a dumpster?
That's most men.
I don't want to, but look at her with garbage on. She looks so cute with garbage on.
Oh, God. At least he didn't go pedophilia.
I'm trying to make it so women just understand a little bit of just to sympathize. It's like we're like sport fishermen. This is what I'm saying. Men like to fish, and sport fishing is different from catching fish for food. You just get it, you catch it, and you show your friends.
Probably not many of them.
Because you want them to know that you can catch fish. You take a couple of pictures so you can show people the fish that you have the ability to catch. And then you release it back into the water. But a lot of women in here, you have boyfriends or husbands, you a fish that jump back on the boat. And just was like flapping, looking at me like, hi, I was wondering if you're gonna be fishing here again next week. Like,
That's bad.
yeah, for other fish, get off my boat. Is that how you treat all the fish? You be like, oh, God damn.
No, just the crazy ones.
I'm sorry, sweetie. You're the last fish I ever wanted to be with. Now you stuck. Stuck with the last fish who was loving you and fighting hard to be on your boat. Then she got comfortable, and now she started doing this. She's like, so we've been together for like a year now. Why do you still have a boat? You'd be like, so what's she trying to say? I can't catch fish no more? Why do you need to catch a fish? Because if I lose my ability to catch fish, then you're not gonna find me sexy no more. So you gotta smell fish on me so that you know I can catch fish so you can act right.
Oh, shit.
That's like, guys, you meet your girl, she was a hoe. Like, had hoe, like, she big old booty and this and that. You gotta let her do that. Don't start trying to frump her up and get her fat and get her foul. Because that's why you like her. I don't want no woman that no other guy's trying to. I don't want a woman that I can send to the store at 2 in the morning. Because nobody's gonna try to rape her. Like, I go.
Oh, God.
Go get some bread at 3 in the morning. Hey, cut through the alley, bitch, because I talk to the junkies. They don't want it. They don't like it.
Okay, well, I just thought we'd laugh there for a minute. So I think this is the one that I was looking for. We'll have to see.
Yeah, no, of course. I think it's just, superstition, and it's, the basis of someone who's really gullible and quite ignorant, etc., very unsophisticated, etc. And here we see astrology, which was spiritually based, that really had meaning, that really gave an understanding of the cosmos and of life in a really meaningful way, really became marginalized. And astronomy became, ugly stepson or whatever. And we can talk about this in terms of every area of science, because the spiritual was ripped out and was replaced by a strictly physical, material perspective or observation or experimentation as a human being in terms of physiology. We actually talk about physiology. This is the temple. Your body is a temple. And I don't mean that in some abstraction. I mean that the entire creation, the entire cosmos, is structured inside of your body. And I mean even physically, physiologically, let alone the etheric body, the astral body, the lower mental body, the higher mental body, the Buddhic body, the Atmic body. All of these different physiologies and bodies interpenetrating the physical that make you the microcosm of the macrocosm, or you contain within yourself the entire creation. You are the small universe that is reflective, not reflective, but actually is the actual great universe in miniature. And so we can identify all of the stars and planets inside of your very physiology. But when you go into the doctors and they're trying to figure out what's wrong with you in terms of health or disease, is any of this based on consciousness, or that these parts relate to principles or moral laws or actual levels that have to do with spiritual realities and truth?
What the fuck?
Absolutely not. They're looking at you as if you're a car. And you go into the shop for a 30,000-mile tune-up, we're going to change out your kidneys, or we're going to change out your heart, and these kinds of things where there's no understanding, or let's just say there's darkness here. It gets into Ahriman, because what has been created in the last 500 years is a deeply materialistic consciousness of life that has been instigated by this being Ahriman, or the Antichrist. And it is permeated through human culture, and every soul is part of what each and every one of us has to deal with. It's part of the evolution of humanity. It's part of us as spiritual beings. And so then when we really want to have an understanding of the human being in relation to the physical plane, or the physical dimensional reality, and again having the perspective, there are 7 cosmic planes: physical, the etheric, the astral, the lower mental, the higher mental, the Buddhic, the atmic. And there's 7 subplanes to each one of those.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Planes. 7 sevens is 49.
Some more 7s. Yeah.
Is the source, the ground of being, the transcendent, the absolute, the unmanifest, the pure consciousness, the pure light, the pure spirit. That is structured into all of creation, but it's also structured inside of you. So understanding that the physical, this is the lowest level of creation, this realm of density and physicality and materiality. Our true home is at the highest level of creation. This transcendent, the absolute, the pure light, the pure consciousness. If we looked at each one of you clairvoyantly, we'd see you as a small sun, radiating light out in terms of a spiritual source of light. You've probably heard of, and maybe even had your aura photo taken. Where's all that light coming from? It's coming from you. You're a center of light. And even with our crude photographic ability at this point, Kirlian photography, we still are able to gain a certain limited objective perspective in terms of this deeper reality of your being light.
I think everybody here knows they're at the spot.
We're spiritual beings in the material world. We have come from the highest level of creation to the lowest level of creation. This physical body we've incarnated into is our vehicle for the soul and spirit to express through. This physical vehicle has very genuine, real physical needs. It needs food, clothing, and shelter, just to put it in a basic way. So we're going to find that in this world, we have to master, and we have to come into right relationship, excuse me, with this dense physical reality. We have to eat every day or we're going to die. Which means we have to take the sustenance of the physical world in order to feed and nourish the physical part of our being. Does our spirit need this? No. Does our soul need this? No. Our physical body needs it. And so we're going to find an alchemical transformative process takes place in the metabolic system, taking this outer world into your being. How does that actually transform? In terms of that becoming cells in your body and blood in your bloodstream. We are talking about spiritual processes of metamorphosis, or alchemy. They're highly mysterious. I mean, basically, science can't really answer these kinds of questions. And they don't. But we know that if we don't eat, we're going to die. And so if we're going to complete our intentions by coming here, and let me assure each and every one of you, on average, most of you spent a minimum of 500 years in the spiritual world preparing for this incarnation. So do you think this is important? Yeah, it's extremely important. You have very important intentions.
That's weird. I don't remember. I don't have any of those.
But what happens?
I mean, that's crazy. That's cool.
We get conditioned and educated in such ways that our lives are defined for us. That we're, supposed to go to school, get a job, get married, have some kids, and then retire and go play golf. No. But that, I mean, being a little facetious, but not overly so, that really, when most people look at what life is about, that's really the way they tend to look at it. That is totally untrue. We're here to evolve our consciousness. We're here to become enlightened beings. We're here to establish cosmic consciousness. Cosmic means all-inclusive. Even though you have these 7 bodies and you actually are living and active on all 7 cosmic planes, while you're in this physical body, are you consciously aware of your activity on these 7 cosmic planes? No. consciousness is here, but understand that what you're designed, and it's already structured inside of you, designed to do, is be in the physical and still be consciously operating at every level of creation at the same time. That is cosmic consciousness, and it has to do with aligning your individual consciousness with the divine consciousness, and really living as a cosmic spiritual being, which is exactly what you are. But to the degree that I can convince you that you're not a cosmic being, and you really don't have much significance or importance, you really don't have much power, and then I can put your attention on just trying to survive at a physical level in the physical world, that most people define their lives from the standpoint of their jobs. They're working, how much money they make, and basically their status in this overall kind of economically defined environment. And what has happened, this is not the way it's always been. In fact, we're going to find this is really the result of the last 500 years. Before that, we're going to find that people were based in a deeply spiritual consciousness and had an awareness of these deeper realities that we're talking about. Even though they hadn't really unfolded a sense of self or a sense of individuality at that point, this is part of the evolution of consciousness. It was more tribal, it was more family, it was more group-oriented, and we're going to find that was a phase, but we actually have to unfold a totally unique sense of identity or spiritual individuality that each of you embodies during this evolutionary process of progressively unfolding to a state of divine perfected expression. So every single one of you has a very unique and special place in the cosmos to play your role for the manifestation and the completion of the divine plan that only you can play. And when we look at the bigger picture, it has to do with this evolution of consciousness. And each one of you being a totally unique, special expression of this consciousness that will never be repeated. And when we come down to Earth, we have a very definite agenda.
Yeah.
We have very
We can do all that with pop.
in terms of
We wouldn't even need oil.
growth of consciousness.
It's crazy.
And so
They can make strong steel
we're in the most
with it too, stronger than steel.
times the humanity has ever experienced. And to give you a brief idea, because as I think you can sense, that the topic we're talking about tonight has huge implications.
Oh, 100%.
And if I'm not careful, I will go
They
on.
know, and they've known this. We used it in World War II and before.
That as spiritual beings,
They're using it for thousands of years.
thousands and thousands and
Heavy.
thousands of years, and through these various phases that I've talked about in terms of which we can't
That's
even get
awesome.
into.
That chair is
Saturn
sick.
evolution, Sun evolution, Moon evolution, and then now we can maybe grasp a little bit more Earth evolution, and then once we break down Earth evolution,
Yeah, it does.
we're talking about the Polarian, Hyperborean, Lemurian, Atlantean. Now we're in the post-Atlantean phase, and let me assure you, there's many other phases that are still ahead of us, and that each one of these post-Atlantean epochs, because there's 7 phases to each one. There's 7 phases to Atlantis. There's 7 phases to Atlantis. There's 7, and they basically we measure them in thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And so the evolution of consciousness is a process that takes time. It's very deep. It's very profound. But we happen to be at this time where we've become so immersed in materiality. So if we look at kind of a basic arc, it would be that we as spiritual beings, as a life wave of spiritual beings, have been descending through the various layers of the cosmos and of creation, layer after layer after layer after layer.
I mean, you can see that he's a demon.
To where we've now become immersed in matter. We've become immersed in the lowest level of creation, this realm of density and physicality and materiality. What is matter ultimately?
Wow.
It's light, it's spirit. It's just lowered its vibrational frequency to the point where it's density. It's like the metaphor of water, if you will. Water is H2O, but depending upon the temperature, we're going to find it flows, as in a river. If the temperature drops, it freezes and becomes solid, that we're very familiar with up here as snow or ice. Spiritually, that's Earth. Even though it's H2O, if you analyze it chemically, you'd still find 2 elements of hydrogen and 1 of oxygen. But you will find that the form in which that water takes has now become solid. It doesn't flow anymore. It's technically what's become Earth. When we raise that temperature a little bit more, it loses its density and it begins to flow. And we're going to see that that actually relates to the etheric dimension. And then if we raise the temperature even more, it becomes gaseous. What happens when you're heating tea or water for tea or whatever? It becomes steam, it becomes gaseous. That relates to the astral. And then we're going to find what is the principle that then controls all this. It's heat and temperature. Well, what is heat and temperature? That's spirit. It's fire. Okay? If we want to get to the most basic nature of spirit, it's fire. What is fire? Well, we know it by its effects of heat and light. Look at the sun. It's a cosmic fire. If there weren't light here, if the sun wasn't here, would we have life as we know it? No. Light is consciousness. And if we wanted to be more specific, it's wisdom. We were talking a little bit about it before class. And we're going to find heat is love. So when we look to the sun and we feel the sun, that heat is actually cosmic love. That light is cosmic wisdom. And we're going to find that flooding through. When we go out at night and we look in the heavens and we see the stars, we're going to see these billions and billions of stars, as Carl Sagan would say, that are centers of spiritual light, that are spiritual beings, that are part of the aspects of the mind of God, if you will, or the universal principle of creative intelligence, that really is the representative of cosmic laws and principles and forces and powers that are fundamental to all of life. And to the degree that we really understand and we investigate light, we investigate consciousness and we investigate the fundamental mystery that really is the cosmos and ourselves as spiritual beings of light. Because each and every one of you is to shine your light ultimately as a sun. And we're going to see that the very earth and what is going on right now is deeply connected to the intention that the earth becomes a sun. But that has to do with each one of us shining our light. And so when we talk about this, we're going to find we're very much enshrouded in darkness. And we're very much stuck in materiality. So this life wave of beings descending deep through the cosmos from the highest level of creation, all those 50 levels that we talked about, we have descended into the lowest level of creation in such intensity. We've become so immersed into it that we've forgotten who we are. And we've created a civilization whose primary values are materialistic. And we've forgotten the spiritual. And we're in crisis. And when we start talking about the source or essence of this materiality, we're going to find it is based in the economic system. And we're going to find that by becoming, if you will, enslaved to trying to make money in terms of physical survival, you're going to find that our attention, our consciousness, is focused on the physical and the material, and ultimately it becomes focused on money. And then, when we truly understand, even from a material worldly standpoint, how the world works, and it's one of the things Lynette and I were in for years, and maybe some of the others, but it's in the financial industry. And it is the understanding that money is what makes the world go round from a physical standpoint. And if you don't understand money, you are at an incredible disadvantage in this world. And one of the things that's come up as a part of this financial crisis is to what degree that we really know and understand money and finances or not. Because if you don't, you're going to feel very fearful, very vulnerable, and very much, it's not a good situation. So when we look at this from the esoteric standpoint, we're going to find that it is the intention of the forces of darkness to actually create a financial system that they control. And they work through human beings. And it has been for the past 500 years. And I have mentioned in the previous classes about Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nations, Bible of Capitalism that was written 250 years ago in 1753, that is really kind of identifying and framing in a cultural sense what we're going through at the present time, because we're in a death and rebirth process of capitalism as we know it. And it's for the planet Pluto. But when we start talking about 500 years ago, we're going to find a shifting in human society to where there began a process of urbanization that had never really happened before. And it created creation of new classes that, you know, in one respect are called the bourgeoisie, but we could say the merchant class and the business class. And then we find the development of an economic system that we know of as capitalism, which I'm not going to get into. We kind of know it. We've gone into it in the past. But ultimately, it results in concentrations of money in banks as a result of manufacturing and trading. And this concentration of money in banks has to do with concentration of wealth, obviously, but it also has to do with concentration of power. Money is power. It is something that is an energy. And it's as spiritual as anything else, but what we do to get it, and once we've got it, what we do with it, those are very spiritual issues. They're very moral issues. And so there's huge amounts of confusion and misunderstanding surrounding money. But one of the things we have to remember is that as spiritual beings...
Yeah, he doesn't... Look, this dude doesn't know about flat Earth. This guy's got lots of good information. You got to realize not everybody's there. But you never... I mean, you can never trust 100% of what somebody says. You got to pick. You got to have the eyes to see. So, I know a lot of times these guys will say stuff. That doesn't mean I agree with everything they're saying.
Just one of the things that we have to learn to master is how to create wealth and abundance in our life in order to survive. It's one of many things. But we have become a society that's become the primary focus of what it is we do to the
It's so sickening. Look, you can look. It looks like there's a fucking pentagram.
So when we look at this, we've come to a crisis to where the financial system is collapsing and falling apart. The banking system and that which is the heart of the
Yes, it is.
system, which is the Federal Reserve System. And so we get impacted. It's kind of a wake-up call. We go into fear. And we will find that there's been a design, especially since the 1800s, that relates to, it's always been this way, but let's say it's become accelerated and intensified since the 1800s, that there is a group of individuals behind the scenes, understand that they are very much not visible, that control the world economy. And they are the henchmen, or human representatives, if you will, of this being of darkness, Armageddon, the Antichrist, which we'll be getting into. And so we will find that the world economy and the whole financial economic system of the world is controlled by darkness. And it's one of the elements that we've gotten into in previous classes, the necessity as individual spiritual beings to realign ourselves with our career, with how we create wealth and abundance, with the economic system, so that we get clean with it. And we really are able to operate morally, spiritually, and in full consciousness in terms of how we create wealth and abundance in our life, because karma is associated with everything that we do. And how we create wealth and abundance in our life, there is karma associated with that. And it's basically raising consciousness, there's good karma associated with it, lowering consciousness, there's negative karma associated with it. That's just very brief. But it's just to basically give us an understanding. So when we talk about the Antichrist, one of the things to understand is the bigger picture of evolution. Most of you have probably heard at various points in time some pieces, or maybe you've gotten into it more deeply, what we can generically call the apocalyptic literature. Apocalypse is
That's pretty good.
Greek word. Many people really misuse it and misunderstand it. Apocalypse means revelation. So when we talk about the revelation of St. John, the last book of the New Testament, or what is also known as the Apocalypse, it has to do with an initiatic experience that St. John had on the planet of Patmos, where in visionary state in the spiritual worlds, he basically experienced the entire, and it's difficult to say, but the beginning and the fulfillment of the whole divine plan as it related to human evolution. And that is described in picture language, or the language of the astral. That is the language of the soul, where that is represented, the beast and 666 and various other things. But basically, he's taking the entire evolution of humanity.
Cookies are good.
From beginning to,
Cookies were
to
good.
the fulfillment, the ultimate completion. And but he's
Video
doing it in
going.
picture language, and then people
Video
try to
going.
understand it and interpret it. But they really, the language of symbolism, even though it's the natural language of the soul, that deeper aspect of your being, but because humanity has lost its conscious connection with the soul, and really has lost its ability to really function consciously within the world of soul, that most of us really don't have an understanding of that particular language. The language of St. John has been lost. It's like also saying Nostradamus is deeply immersed in this stuff. And the language of Nostradamus has been lost. People who say, oh yeah, I understand it. It's like what we were talking about in the class. First of all, he was French. Then he actually wrote his quatrains in Latin. And then, if they get translated into English, wow, we've got a few steps in between the original. Plus, he wrote it in a symbolism and a language that's so archaic that it goes back to Greek and Roman mythology, and it goes back to a language and an understanding of the mystery schools and the spiritual path. It was a fundamental experience for initiates that really had to do with a deep, lively, clear, conscious understanding of these inner spiritual worlds that were very much alive for the ancient peoples and were the basis of their literature and their culture. Do we have that? No, they don't even teach this stuff in school, and they haven't in so long. This would be what would be called the classical education that would have been back maybe at the beginning of the 1900s, where they would have had this, but they would have taught it and they still wouldn't have even understood it. They would have taught it out of a certain sense of fondness for that which is beautiful from the past, without really any real sense of the meaning of what it was. And it would activate certain feelings and emotions that really are genuine and are good. But we've lost that. We've lost this language. So when people start quoting about, Revelations, which you see, or you see people quoting about Nostradamus or various things like this, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because most of them really don't understand what they're talking about. And they're really doing it from a level of consciousness that really is not in alignment with these deeper truths. But it is the destiny of each and every one of you to go through that same experience that St. John put down for us in Revelation. It is a universal initiatic experience for us to actually do
That wasn't me.
this whole panorama of the whole unfoldment of the divine plan, cosmically, in your own soul. And to understand what we've been through, where we are now, and where it's going. And when we look at that, chapter 13, Revelations, we're going to find is very pertinent to this time. And it is that it really takes enlightened masters or clairvoyants who have the ability to go into the spiritual world and experience the Akashic record of the memory of nature, or the memory of the universe, to really livingly understand what is contained within Revelations and be able to explain it. And fortunately, we do have those individuals who have done that for us, and it's part of our culture if you look hard enough. And we're talking about Rudolf Steiner before class, and a lot of this comes from Rudolf Steiner, not all by any means, because we can find the same things in the Vedic tradition. We can find the same things in the Judaic tradition. We can find these in
Sorry, gonna get loud for a second.
theosophy. We can find them in anthroposophy. Timing for the incarnation of the Antichrist or Ahriman is now. So I want to talk a little bit about this. Ahriman, this very term, comes from the second post-Atlantean epoch. We're in the fifth post-Atlantean epoch. The first
Sorry about that.
post-Atlantean epoch was that of Vedic India. It was a 2,160-year period, about 10,000 years ago, about 12,000 years ago.
All right. Wow, how come like every time a video ends, it's somebody's face we don't want to see? All right. Oh yeah. Wanted to put him on there. 1 second, guys. What the hell? It was just right there. How the fuck did I lose it? All right, here.
Hello, folks. GWT here, West Truther Channel. First off, I want to say that all you preachers and you pastors who's hiding behind that 501c3 nonprofit tax-exempt plan, there's a whole daggone bunch of y'all out there that are really not people of God, and you're lying through your teeth to the people that follow you. And those of you who claim that the earth is flat, you're the biggest liars. Because science teaches that it takes 12 months, that 12 months is needed for the spinning round globe Earth to change its position so that we can see all 12 constellations in that year period of time. Robert Poddam from Atlanta, Georgia, Robert Poddam, P-O-D-D-A-M, his phone number is 678-491-0331. He called me, and he has enlightened me. He called me about one location on the earth. In a single night, you can see 3 different constellations in a month from one place on the earth. Because if you watch all night long, one constellation drops off and another one appears. Okay? This is because the sky and the earth turns, the sky and all the lights in the sky turns above a flat stationary earth. The earth is flat, stationary, and all the stars rotate in a circle over top of us. You can set a camera up anywhere you want to, wide angle lens, straight up in the sky, and time-lapse photography, and then you speed that photography up, and the earth, all the lights in the sky, all of the orbs and all of the lights that's in the sky is going to spin over top of your head just like this. If you speed it up, you're going to see the lines from them. They're turning in a circle. The North Star is in the center, and it stays put. It's in one place. It's like a pivot point. That North Star stays put, and everything else spins around that North Star just like that right there. So what I'm telling you is, Robert Poddam explained it to me, and my common sense has picked it up. He called me from Georgia, and he told me that all 12 constellations can be seen in one night. Now, on a round spinning Earth, we could never see all the constellations at once, because we'd be on one side of the moon away from the stars. We wouldn't be able to see through a round spinning ball of the Earth. But on a flat Earth, all the constellations can be seen in one single night. Now, all you bigwigs out here who's writing books and making money off telling people the Earth is flat, how come ain't none of y'all talking about this? Well, maybe you didn't think of it. Well, Robert says he got his information through the Spirit, through the Holy Spirit, and a spirit of truth. And that's why some of these other people have a spirit of popularity and a spirit of the dollar bill. And they're not interested in giving you the whole truth because they haven't dug down and found the whole truth, or they're covering up some truth because of controversy. They're in the middle of controversy, so they're popular. They should be convincing you the earth is flat, not arguing, not doing debates, not meeting with physicists and all these other people and having these discussions. That's all for show. Get down to the facts. On a flat earth, from all continents, all the constellations, all 12 of them, can be visible and seen in one single night, either by a fast jet plane flying back to each continent and filming the sky, or talking to people who are live people by phone from every continent in a single night, and asking them, what constellations can you see from your position right now? And so, this disproves the round spinning globe Earth stuff. It disproves science, and which we are taught from that science that the sun, we've got to go out and circle the sun and all of that, but the sun circles over top of us, folks, which science teaches that 12 months is what it takes to see all the constellations, but they can all be seen in one single night from all of the locations across the flat Earth combined. All 12 constellations can be seen in a single night. Every continent has a different constellation in their view in the same night. You've got to communicate with people there and ask them what they're looking at, what constellations is above their head, or you've got to be able to hop, skip, and jump from place to place and look it up. Just like the midnight sun that lasts for 3 days during our summer up in Alaska. How does that work on a round spinning Earth? That's impossible. Now here's some channels that y'all need to look up, and you need to talk to them about this. Ask them some questions about what I'm telling you right now. And it's not the messenger, it's the message. D Marble, D as in dog, Marble is one channel. Aplaintruth.info is another channel. Juranism, Jeranism, Odd Reality or ODD Reality, and EYA, and she talks about the Mandela effect and the change in scriptures and stuff like that, folks. But that's a good place for you to visit and subscribe to. And an airplane gyro proves the flat Earth, and a lot of pilots, because of that gyro, they admit that we live on a flat Earth. And with more understanding comes more sorrow, and with more knowledge comes more grief. These are the things that I'm bringing to y'all to tell you that Robert Potham gave me and asked me if I would mention it in a video. So I'm going to dedicate this video to Robert Potham because he's the man who has enlightened me even further, and I am 100% fully convinced that we live on a flat Earth, and none of you little government shields out there is going to be able to disprove what I'm saying, because all 12 constellations can be seen from our flat Earth. If you add all of the locations of all the continents at one time in the round sky, every constellation that is spinning over top of our head can be seen from the flat Earth in a single night. Now, y'all try to disprove that. And because Robert Potham from Atlanta, Georgia, has laid a blessing of truth on me, you get to hear it here first from the West Truther channel.
Yeah, he's very good. Very passionate. But no, he does some pretty good stuff. Dun, dun, dun. 1 second, guys. Damn, where is that one? Hold on. Damn. I don't know why it's not on here. We'll have to go with this other one. Hold on.
Are an act of war. We've been at war with Russia and China.
All right.
Welcome back to Honest News. I'm going to prove to you by the scriptures this morning that Zion,
West Truther channel was the one that we just watched. West Truther channel.
of Zionism has nothing to do with the Jews or the Gentiles. It's about war. It's about war. It's about greed. It's about power. It has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with annihilation. It has to do with destruction. See, Satan is not really concerned about religion. He's concerned about a bloodbath. He's concerned about bringing the world to a place where souls are dying, where people are dying, see, and where souls are going to hell. He wants to create on this earth worse than Hitler, a Holocaust worse than Hitler. Because the ultimate plan is not to wipe out the seed of Abraham as far as physical, but to wipe out the seed of Christ off the earth. Think about this. Once the bride is gone, and then the church is taken, the seed of Christ, there's only a remnant left. And these are the foolish virgins that have no oil. And they will be beheaded for the testimony of Jesus Christ. And then there'll be the remnant left in Israel that have yet to be born again. Think about this. What is it that the devil's really after? He's after souls, right? That's what he's after. To take as many souls to hell as he can. What's the greatest way to do that? War. War. But see, he doesn't want you to be saved when you die, right? He doesn't want you to be born again when you die, if you die. He wants you to be unsaved. And this is why the serpent teaches false doctrine, to get people away from the truth. And this is where we get the doctrine or the lie from Satan of Zionism. Zionism has nothing to do with the Jews, has nothing to do with that. In fact, I will prove to you, folks, Hitler was a Zionist. That's right. And how many know Zionism comes out of the Catholic Church? How many know that? Zionism has nothing to do with the Jew or the Gentile. And it has everything to do with world dominance. Has everything to do with war. War. That's why you see the 1%ers in the United States with the Catholic Church supporting Hitler. So when you think of Nazism, don't think of those that hate Jews. Think of those that desire to have war, which is what John Hagee is. They're supremacists. Are you listening? And they support a supremacist in the White House. This is supremacy, supremacy. That's what they're after, dominance. It's not about a religion. It's not about ideology in that sense. Let's take a look at what the scripture says about this man of sin, this Antichrist figure that's coming on the earth. Let's see what kind of a individual this person's going to be, or this beast, or this individual is going to be. Let's take a look. Let's see if it has anything to do with religion. Daniel chapter 11, beginning with verse 36. And the king shall do according, notice it says he's a king. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself, and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that it is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all gods. Now listen. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces. That's war, people. That's war. The God of forces. This is Satan, the God of war, the God of this world that is for destruction. That's what Satan is. He's destruction. Okay? But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces. Isn't it interesting? Another forerunner of this man of sin, of this wicked, Donald Trump, now having the Space Force. You got the Air Force, now the Space Force. And it says, this wicked, this man of sin, is going to honor the God of forces. What's that saying? That's saying that he regards no God, no deity, and his God is his weapons. Think about that. Think about that. Now you look at somebody like Donald Trump and you think about John Hagee calling for war with Iran. And now you look at Benjamin Netanyahu, they're all for war. That is Zionism, folks. You hear what I'm saying to you? That's Zionism. It's not about getting rid of Muslims. It's about annihilation of the population of the earth. Who's behind that? Who's behind that madness? Why would man want to annihilate or to wipe off the earth people? Why? And even destroy himself. Why would man do that? Why would a person commit suicide? Because there's a serpent behind it all. The destroyer. He doesn't care about people. He doesn't care whether you're black, white. He doesn't care what your religion is. He doesn't care about all that. What he cares about is making sure that you're lost when he takes you to hell. Now you're getting the big picture, folks. See, the distraction in the seduction and the illusion that the devil plays against the world is he tries to get people confused with doctrines and religions and viewpoints and all these things. But ultimately, what does it come down to? It comes down to God, right? The God of heaven. And it comes down to Satan, the God of war. That's what it ultimately comes down to. And it comes down to this. Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of the right? Not the right as far as the right and left and as far as Satan's hypocrisy in politics. I'm talking about where the Bible says, the Lord says those on his right are going to enter into life, but those on his left will be cast into hell and lake of fire. Are you on the right or on the left? It's come down to this place where the Lord is going to divide the sheep from the goats, brothers and sisters. Isn't it interesting how these Zionists, these Satanists, the synagogue of Satan that worship the devil and they're going to worship the beast, how is that? I mean, do you not see it? How is it that they use a goat to represent themselves? A goat. They're putting these statues up right now in many cities around this United States. That goat represents that rebellious, stubborn, fallen nature. Are you listening? That is what the Bible considers that goat nature, that stubbornness. That goes all the way to the scripture where it says God will divide the goats from the sheep. Are you listening? They have that goat nature. They have that fallen nature. They have that stubborn and that rebellious nature. And they're not ashamed of it. In fact, they call their rebellion, they call it revolution. Are you listening? In fact, Satan, he put in the Constitution when it was amended the right to bear arms so that he could cause people to rise up against their government. Why would he want that? War. War. What did Jesus do when he was arrested in the garden? Did he fight? Did he fight with a sword? No, he laid his life down. That is God's plan, for us to lay our lives down. See, Satan's plan is get you to fight with swords, get you to fight with guns, get you to defend yourself. War, war. But what did Jesus say? Put up your sword. Put up your sword. I know you don't want to hear Brother Joseph give that message. You don't want to hear the truth because you want to fight. You want a war, don't you? That's the devil. He wants you to war. He wants you to fight. Even James says, where there wars among you, come they not of your own lusts? Come they not out of your lusts? You war, you fight, you kill, you desire to have and you cannot obtain. He calls them children, or he calls them friends of the world. He calls them idolaters. He calls them adulterers and adulteresses. Friendship with the world. Warmongers. Anybody that is on the side of supporting war is part of the Zionism. And all that Islam is doing, okay, is the same thing. And it's survival to them. They're just trying to survive in the sense that we're going to come out on top. We're not going to be destroyed. We're not going to. So they're trying to gain Russia and other countries. You see it's like king of the hill here. It's like survivalist. You see what I'm saying? It's like the what they call the survival of the fittest. That's Satan's world. But brothers and sisters, you and I are not to fight. We're not to war. We're not to join those that want war. And so when you have politics that are wanting to war against other countries, folks, I don't think you understand that these sanctions against China and China giving warning to the United States, we are in right now a war with China and Russia already. We're already at war. Sanctions are an act of war. We've been at war with Russia and China since we've been at war. Okay? And so we're just getting closer and closer to an actual nuclear war. We're already at war when it comes to money. These sanctions that are getting ready to be put on China, that's not going to help the American people. It's going to be more expensive for us to buy things. Why do you idiots out there believe Donald Trump when he tells you that sanctioning China is going to help things? The very person you voted into office is destroying this country. He's not making it great again. He's destroying this country the same way he destroyed himself. If it wasn't for the international bankers, he'd still be destroyed. He would still have no wealth. He would still not even be, he wouldn't even be president today if it wasn't for the international bankers. And the international bankers, folks, don't think about Jews and Gentiles. Think about Zionism. Satan's. That's Satan's lie, Zionism. And you've got Zionists that are Jews and you've got Zionists that are Christians. Well, those people that are Zionist Christians, like the John Hagees and the Paula Whites, all that stuff, Kenneth Copeland, they're not real Christians. Those are the Catholic Christians, the ones that support the Catholic Church. Zionism is of the devil. See how clever Satan is? To take a name that God gave to his people in the Old Testament, Zion, right? Zion, I don't think you folks understand that Zion is the city of David. It became the city of David. And it has nothing to do with Jerusalem. It has everything to do with Judea. You understand? David took the stronghold. Look it up yourself. It was the city where the Jebusites were, okay? And David took the stronghold, and he made it his city. And it was called the city of David. Are you listening? And this was not in Jerusalem, where what is being called the city of Jerusalem today. Listen, this is Judea. Are you listening? It's Judea. It's the land of Judea. That's where Jesus Christ in Bethlehem of Judea, that's where he was born. Jesus was rejected in the city. He went outside the city, and we are to go outside the city, bearing the same reproach, brothers and sisters. Listen, it's that city that is Mystery Babylon. It's that city that's called Sodom and Egypt. It's that city that's bringing the whole world into oblivion. Do you listen to what I'm saying to you? That city is idolatry. That city is wickedness. That city is that great mother of harlots. It's that whore of Babylon, brothers and sisters. And the whole world today is drinking of the wine of the fierceness of her wrath. Oh, yes. would only understand what really Zionism is. Hitler called himself a son of God. He called himself an overcomer, and he said he was only finishing what Jesus began when he started to cast them out of the temple and turn over the tables. Hitler said, I'm just finishing what Jesus started. He literally believed he was doing the will of God. And that's what the Bible says. The Bible says they will think they're doing the will of God. See how subtle Satan is? He gets them to think they're actually doing the will of God. Oh, they are, but it's not the God of heaven. Amen. It's the God of this world, Satan. They're doing his bidding. They're doing his will. And what is the ultimate plan of Satan? Take as many souls to hell as he can. That's all he's got. That's his only recourse. What else